Hello everyone, it's Team Stark What Ifs here with What If Tony Stark was Aquaman and was betrayed by Captain America full movie. So let's get started. Jules Verne once wrote, "Put two ships in the open sea without wind or tide. They will come together." That's how Howard and Maria Stark truly met. During 1960s, Howard was on a conference with Peggy Carter on Amnesty Bay, Maine. That's how he met her. A storm was striking the bay, and Howard had to help secure their home in the place when he found someone on the shore. A woman wearing clothes that he had never seen like before, made of what appeared to be fish scales, and in her hand, a trident. Howard was weirded by that discovery, but he had to act. He went down and grabbed the woman, bringing her inside. He laid her on the table and gave her CPR. When the woman finally woke up, she grabbed Howard and pinned him on the wall, with a strength that not even Steve Rogers could hope to match. It added to Howard's curiosity. What was this woman? "Hey, it's okay. You weren't breathing?" It took a moment, but the woman finally let him go. That's when Howard noticed the bad wound she had on her hip. The woman gasped and passed out. Howard didn't know what to do, only that he had to help her. The woman woke up next morning. When Howard found her, she was about to eat one of the fishes. "Don't eat that," he hurried. The woman looked at him. "I already made you some eggs. Those are Peg's pets." She tilted her head at those words. Howard handled her some coffee. "It's okay. It's just coffee. You drink it." The woman seemed not to understand, so he showed her how. She finally got it and did it herself. A pleased smile on her face. "So, who are you, Maria, Queen of Atlantis?" "Atlantis." "Huh, that's a good one. I almost believed it." Maria looked at him. "But it's true." "Oh right, you surfacers believe we don't exist." She walked towards the fish tank and dipped her head inside it. Howard was shocked for a bit. Then he realized she was breathing underwater. "It's true? Well, I'm Howard." That was all he could say. They became friends, and then they fell in love. Maria had fled Atlantis to escape an arranged marriage. A man of the land and a woman of the sea, their love was strong. And that love soon produced a product, their son. Maria held her baby close. "What about Anthony?" "Anthony? Yeah. I like it much better than your last choice." "Oh, hush. Anthony. Yeah, that can be for short, my baby. The proof that both worlds can coexist." But Atlantis' memory is long, and her king wanted her back. And it just happened that Hydra gave them the perfect opportunity when they sent the Winter Soldier to kill the Starks. The Winter Soldier believed that he had killed the Stark and went to destroy all cameras. But what he didn't know is that Atlanteans are much more resistant than humans, even super soldiers. Maria was still alive. Howard. She hooked her husband. He was gone. In a fit of rage, Maria went in and grabbed her trident. And when the Winter Soldier wasn't looking, she attacked him. With a powerful kick, the soldier was sent flying. He tried to fight back, but Maria was simply stronger. Even gravely injured, she was faster, stronger, and better fighter. Soon, the Winter Soldier was brought down, beaten up, and unable to get back up. Maria got her trident, ready to kill the Hydra menace. But, Queen Maria, Atlantean troopers came in, surrendering her. "By the order of King Orvax, you are ordered to return to Atlantis." Maria looked at Howard's dead body. She had no escape. She was too badly hurt. "I'm sorry, Tony." Atlantean soldier used a face mask and a dead woman to cover her as Maria Stark. The Winter Soldier was left in a coma for 9 months, giving Hydra the hint not to mess with the Starks again. Tony was led to believe that both of his parents had been killed on the crash, and while his godmother Peggy Carter, who knew of Maria's true identity, knew there was something off. Her illness caught up to her before she was able to investigate farther. Tony Stark grew up to become CEO of Stark Industries and later on became Iron Man. But that's the story everyone knows. Maria was forced to marry Orvax and gave him a son, Orm. But Orvax secretly found of Tony's existence and was driven mad by jealousy. She sentenced Maria to death and sent her to the creatures of the trench, where she was never heard of again. Though a half-breed was known to be a disgrace to Atlantis, there were two that didn't. Those Maria told willingly and had instructed to help her son now that she couldn't. Nedlis Volko, the royal advisor, and Princess Mara, heir to the kingdom of Zebel, who she took in after her mother died on the war with the Wakandians. The former would train Tony and tell him the truth of her death as he grew up. The latter would bring him home when the time came. Orvaz died 5 years after Maria was sentenced. Orm took power, and with him, a hatred for the surface like no other. He wished to declare war on them. It was at that time both Volko and Mara knew the time had come for the true king to return. However, certain events and betrayals lead to Tony hiding on the sea, where the rise of the king begins. July 2016, middle of the Atlantic Sea. Gah. "Help!" a man shouted before being shot and killed. A group of men boarded the submarine. In their helmets, they had the symbol of Hydra. The leader of this men took his helmet off and went to the captain. His name is David Kame, top operative of Hydra. "The signal has been shut. We are running dark." The captain glared at him, but they heard it. "You can count on it." "I'll make you a deal. I don't tell you how to captain." He got his blade out. "And you don't tell me how to pirate?" He sliced the man's throat after that. He walked over the body to the other leader of the group, his father. Jesse came. "We got all of the trackers off." "Great. Those idiots at SWORD will no longer be able to interfere. We are scoring big on this one." "No, you are scoring big on this one. This is your job." Jesse grabbed a silver knife out of his pocket. It had the drawing of a manta ray on it. "I can't take that piece of junk. It belongs to you now. See, I never told you the story of this knife, didn't I? It belonged to your grandfather. He was so stealthy under the sea, a perfect unit at his command. They called him Manta. But after the war, his country forgot about him, so he went back to the seas. Fortunately, remains of Hydra found his talent worth it and gave him new purpose. When he was ready, he gave the knife to me, and now I am giving to you, son. David looked at the knife for a moment before graving it. Has a nice handle. Good, now let's go meet with that contact of yours and... Bam. Suddenly, the submarine was hit with immense strength. Sir, we were just hit. Another submarine. No, But this time, it pushed the submarine upwards. David, Jesse, and their man fell to the floor. The submarine kept going up and up until it reached the surface. The Hydra pirates slowly got up. That is not a man, David grumbled. Everyone, get ready for battle. The man went in with their guns, ready to shoot whoever came through the hatch. What they didn't expect was the hatch being thrown like it was nothing, and especially the person that appeared. It was none other than Tony Stark, wearing nothing more than just some pants. Permission to come aboard. Thank God his baby girl had found of this pirates beforehand. Because knowing Hydra, who knew what was in store for the crew, permission to come aboard. The two men looked at each other and fired. Wow. Tony quickly grabbed the hatch and used it as a shield to avoid the bullets. He then threw the thing to them, knocking them out. More men came to him, but Tony rushed in and tackled them. Ugh. Is that Tony Stark? He has no suit. How is he so strong? Tony, however, ignored them in favor of finding out where the ship's crew is. Where is the crew? He demanded. On the back hatch. A soldier yelled, scared. Thanks, pal. He bumped his head against him, knocking him out. Tony walked towards the room where the crew had locked themselves in and opened it with no problem. The men looked scared, but relief soon came in when they saw him. Look, it's Iron Man. Come on, everyone. Heard the happy hour is soon, and I don't want to miss it. Soon, the men started going up and inflating the life rats. Come on, buddy. He told the last crew member aboard. He looked like he was on his first days. It's your turn. The man went to get up, but soon a row of bullets came for them. The man was shot in the shoulder, but Tony, who wasn't hurt thanks to the Atlantean skin, was thrown back down to the bottom. The shooter, David, landed beside him. What? Iron Man? What are you doing here? You are supposed to be missing. Yeah, well, I like the seas now. Tony grabbed David and pushed him away. David tried to stab him, but the knife was unable to even cut Tony's skin. He looked shocked, while Tony just raised his hands and smirked. Gonna have to try harder than that. He grabbed the blade and broke it in half. How are you this strong? You are just a normal human. That's what I wanted Hydra to believe. And I don't think anyone will believe you that Tony Stark defeated you without even a shirt. Tony grabbed David and threw him to the roof. But let's not make this a habit, shall we? However, just as Tony turned back, he saw Jesse pointing a mini rocket launcher at him. Oh shit. Tony was shot and sent flying to a nearby wall. He laid on the floor, not moving. David looked at his father. Dad killed Iron Man. Jesse smiled, going to help his son up. Nope, not dead. Father and son looked shocked as Tony stood up. Ow. Jesse desperately tried to get another rocket ready. Oh no, you don't. Tony threw a tube at him with such strength that it sent Jesse to the wall and left him stabbed there. Dad, David yelled. Dad, Tony said, walking towards Jesse. That's your kid. Shame on you. He freed him from the wall and walked away. You got yourselves into this mess. You can get yourselves out. Bastard. Jesse tried to shoot Tony again, but he dodged the rocket. It hit the sub's wall and water came in. A bomb came off and fell on top of Jesse's legs. Dad, no. David rushed to his father and tried to free him. Tony looked at them from the stairs. David looked at him. Wait, he is trapped. You can't leave him like this. Damn it. Tony didn't. He couldn't. Help, the Marine that was hit yelled. He had been bleeding badly, and he needed to get out of the sub before it sank. Tony had to make a choice. You killed innocent people. You ask the sea for mercy. No, David yelled. But Tony climbed away. He rushed towards the man and dragged him out. Is everyone ready? He said, grabbing the ropes of the life rafts. Good, let's go. He jumped to the water and took them away. David desperately tried to get his father free. Jesse shook his head. He has no way out. Get out of here. Shut up, I am not leaving you. Hey, listen to me. You have to live, so you can kill that son of a bitch. David didn't listen and tried to get him free, but it was too heavy. He shouted, frustrated. Jesse shook his head and took out an explosive. David didn't want to believe it. Go, he mumbled. David, out of options, left back to his ship. He had a new objective. Kill Tony Stark no matter what. Amnesty Bay, Maine. Sharon Carter stood on a familiar dock, waiting. That son of a bitch is late, as always. She turned around to leave. When a splash was heard, she shook her head and saw her cousin on the dock. Always know where to find you, she told him. Old habits never die. They both chuckled and hugged. How's the old house treating you? That thing will never lose its charm. Now come on, I'm starving. Oh yeah. They soon ended up on a restaurant by the town port. Amnesty Bay was a special place. It was secure. No one here had anything against the Starks and Carters, and it allowed Tony and Sharon to hide. It also helped that everyone was so friendly. So any idea when your legal situation is going to be cleared? No idea. Ross Everett is still trying to prove that the one that gave Rogers the shield back was an agent sent by the other Ross. You were knocked out by Barnes. How come no one knows that? You are under the ocean and Romanoff is a fugitive with Rogers. Not for long. You know they are going to get pardoned. Yeah, well, it's not like she cares about me enough to clarify that. Besides, I need this vacation. This place has the best chicken wings ever made. Now, cuz. Do not tell the secret. They laughed just as the TV got a bit louder, and just in. A group of Navy submarines were rescued by the mysterious Aquaman. Today, Sharon looked at him. That's not me, from Iron Man to Aquaman. Really, Tony. Hey, it's not like I choose it. Who knows what will come next? But hey, you are finally doing what Vulko taught you to do. Stop, Sharon, please. Tony, whatever Atlantis' problems are, you are bigger than them. Didn't Thor said you were an honorary warrior of Asgard now? Don't forget. Atlantis murdered my mother. For loving dad and having me, cause one day you are gonna have to stop blaming yourself. Tony shook his head just as the door opened. Sharon glooped. Say, Tony, I need to tell you something. What is it? You see, on my time before getting here, I made a friend. Hey, Tony turned to see a blonde, clearly Russian, woman looking at him. You didn't tell me you were friends with one of Romanoff's friends. He is actually my cousin, and they are not friends. Tony, this is Yelena, and... Sherry, you didn't tell me you had a new girlfriend. Wait a sec. Huh. She can't stop looking at my ass. Yelena Belova, Tony Stark. What is the story with Romanoff? Left me behind on the Red Room to clean her mess. Ah, I can relate. Come seat, so we can shame Sherry Bear together. Fuck you, Tony. Breaking news, Russian authorities have confirmed that there is no sign for Tony Stark. A video has been leaked showing Steve Rogers, stranding him on Siberian territory. Where the man is unknown. As Chimera footage cuts just after Rogers leaves. As President of the United States, I officially revoke Steve Rogers from the title of Captain America. Stark Industries CEO Pepper Potts confirms that they won't support the Avengers in any shape or form with the exception of Thor and the Hulk, should they return. The UN confirms the conditional pardon of the rogue Avengers, stating with Thor, Hulk, and Iron Man gone, they have no other options, as the Enhanced continue to hide. Stating that the actions made by Steve Rogers make them afraid of repercussions if they sign their names. Protesters all around the Avengers compound protest about the upcoming arrival of the rogue Avengers, especially after Steve Rogers posted a video thanking the people for seeing that he was right. The video was taken out of the internet 2 hours after it was posted, but the damage was done. The Avengers approval rating dropped to 40% after the video, and while protesters are burning Captain America merch, they lay flowers with Iron Man merch, all wondering, where is Tony Stark? Rhodey shutted down the TV with a sigh. It was one mess after the other. Tony was missing. His little bro was out there somewhere, and he had no idea where. Vision had gone to get him from Siberia after the signal stopped showing on radar, but all he found was a broken suit, a shield of a man Rhodey now hates more than anyone. And that video, it made Rhodey sick. To think Rogers could sew something like that he kept that truth from Tony for 2 years. My God, were they wrong about that man. And now he gets to return. While there are restrictions, he won't be going to prison, like he damn should. In a way, he gets it. Thor and Bruce were already gone, and now Tony is gone as well. It was just him and Vision. Rhodey had been healed from his injuries by King T'Challa and Princess Shuri, but that didn't make him stronger, just the same as before. The Accords Council got scared, so they did what they did, even though Rhodey 2 new faces. The first is Carol Danvers, an Air Force pilot that went missing for years, only to return from space. Courtesy of Phil Coulson, who was alive and apparently fucked over by SHIELD, and Hope Van Dyne, who wanted to make up for Lang's actions. Even if, from what T'Challa said, Lang was already well aware that he messed up. Rogers would not be the leader anymore. That will be Rhodey's job, but he knows the man will try to take control over him all the time. And honestly, Rhodey is not sure how patient is willing to be with Rogers. They are going to have to wait and see. Still, the rage was nothing with the worry, sadness, and guilt that he felt because of Tony. Where was he? Where had he gone that not even Friday could find him? The only one that could know was Sharon, but she was off the grid as she got cleared for Ross's attempts to frame her. Trying to contact her was risky. Colonel Rhodes, Vision called. What is it, Viz? The plane from Wakanda has just requested authorization. They are here. Rhodey cited. The time had come. Well, no point on delaying it then. Let's get right to it. Right? How are you feeling, Viz? I feel angry that this is unfair. They get to come back while we don't even know where he is. I know. I share that feeling, man. I really do. But there is nothing we can do about that. What we can do is make sure those assholes know their place. So when Tony returns, he won't have to put up with their bullshit anymore, and Rogers finally knows his place. Based on his behavior. I doubt Mr. Rogers will be even able to recognize that he acted wrongly. I know. Which is going to make crushing his delusions of grandeur even more fun. Though I am concerned on how Mr. Parker will react. Yeah, Peter. He's been with them for some time, trying to find Tony. Rhodey felt for the kid. He blamed himself for some reason, and nothing they did made him think differently. Fucking Rogers. Finally, after such a long time, Steve and his team were finally back home. The wait had been very long, sometimes unbearable, but it finally happened. Though he hoped it was under better circumstances. He looked at his team and sighted at the clear division. Nat, Wanda, and himself on one side, while Sam, Clint, Scott, and Bucky on the other. They were united at first, when Steve rescued them from Siberia, a perfect unit planning how to overtake the Accords. Then the video was released. Wakanda, 1 month ago. Steve, come here right now. Steve rushed to where Sam had called him. Sam, what's wrong? That is wrong? Sam pointed at the TV. Confused, Steve went to see what they were seeing and gasped. It was the footage of Siberia. Steve hadn't told his team all of the truth. Only the basics. Zemo had tricked Tony and he attacked them, so Steve had to put him down. Nothing more. He didn't want to tell them or anyone the more private details. He thought that wouldn't do good for Tony, as it would make him look even more bad. But looks like the man will never learn. Now Sam. He started. He had to clean up this mess. No, you shut up and listen, Sam said. Steve was greatly shocked. He wasn't expecting this anger at him. Sam, what? You lied to us, Steve, Sam yelled before calming down a bit. You told us that Tony attacked you and Barnes for no reason, but what we saw there. Will, you failed to mention that part? Sam, I It wasn't Bucky. Steve hated when he had to say that. He thought Sam understood. Do you think that mattered to him? No one would have cared at that exact moment of time, Steve. They were his parents and he has to learn like that. But he didn't. Clint then said. He didn't attack Barnes immediately. Clint, how long did you know Steve? He asked. How long did you know that Barnes killed his parents and didn't fucking tell him? You saw how he reacted there. I had to protect Bucky. Oh my God. It's always Barnes this and Barnes that with you, isn't it? I can't believe I left my family for you. I know for a fact that if you had told Tony beforehand, then he would have reacted better. Maybe he would have blamed Barnes at first, but he would have understood. You don't know that, Steve said desperately. He would, Clint said again. I did an effort to befriend Tony, you know. He never blamed me for the things Loki forced me to do, or Bruce when he hulked out on South Africa. For a reason I'm not saying right now. Steve was grateful Clint decided to leave a detail out. Poor Wanda didn't need that, so he would have understood. However, what he might have done is remove his funding, so you wouldn't have all the money in the world to search for Barnes. Sam said. God, all this time we used his money, his tech, to search for the man that killed his parents, and he had no idea. Do you know how messed up that is? Steve knew that might have not been his best move, but he had to do it. He had to find Bucky. Couldn't they see that? Besides, he already apologized to Tony on his letter. Stark is a monster, Wanda said. He only has blood money. The least he could do is allow Steve to use it. At least someone still supported him. Zip it, Maximoff, Clint said. So, it's fine for you to blame someone that has nothing to do with your parents, but Tony can't be mad at the person that hid it from him. That hid the actual murder? Wanda looked shocked at Clint's outburst. He was always so soft with her. What happened? That is enough? Natasha finally said. Yes, Steve could have handled things better, but that's in the past. We need to focus on now. Are you serious? Scott said. He had been so quiet lately. He lied to Stark and lied to us on what happened. And you expect us to just forget it? What is wrong with you? I am saying we need to hunker down for what's coming. With Tony missing, many things are going to come at us at once. That got Steve's attention. What do you mean Tony is missing? He hasn't been seen since your fight in Siberia. Vanished without a trace. What were you expecting? You left him stranded there? Sam said. What happened to No Man Left Behind? He was fine. He was talking. Steve didn't understand this. Why was his team suddenly going against him? Do you know what adrenaline is? Scott asked before shaking his head. God, I left Cassie and Hope for this. I just can't. With that, Scott left the room. To think I saw you as our leader? Clint said spitefully. I should have never been involved on this shit. Fuck you, Rogers. He too left. Sam shook his head. T'Challa came in earlier, absolutely furious. You lied to him as well, Steve. I thought you were a better man than this. Guess Captain America is nothing more than a fake story. Sam left alongside the others at that, leaving Steve alone with Natasha, Wanda, and Bucky. Wanda looked shocked at Clint's treatment of her. Natasha looked pensive. They both had at least come to Steve's aid. But Bucky, he shouldn't be dealing with this. Buck, are you okay? What? Why did you lie, Stevie? Bucky, You told them Stark attacked us just because Zemo manipulated him. You know there was more. Lying got us on that fight, Steve. When are you going to learn? Bucky, I did the right thing. I am a hero, and I had to save you. Hero. Steve, that word once might have described you, but that's no longer the case. With that, Bucky left, leaving a stunned Steve behind. Steve sighed. From that day, almost all of his team refused to have to do anything with him. Only Nat and Wanda talked to him. He thought that the pardons would make them calm down, for them to see that Steve had been right on his stand. But they were still so angry. But no matter. Steve could fix everything now. First thing, he has to find Tony. At first, Steve thought he might have been licking his wounds, but it seems he was truly missing. Steve still had his doubts though. Then after they talk and Tony accepts the truth in Steve's words and that he had been right, then everything could be easily solved. No more accords, no more public hating. The Avengers would be the family they were before. He got off the ramp and saw Rhodes, Vision, Two Woman, and the Spider Kid. Rhodes, Colonel Mr. Rogers, address me with my tittle. We are Colonel Rhodes, Captain Danvers, and Ms. Van Dyne. You will call us with our tittles. Then please call me Captain. No, the President personally revoked your tittle some days ago. As of now, you are not Captain America. What? That can't be true. Show him Friday. So, Friday showed Steve the message. How could the President do this? No matter, Tony will fix it. Let's make something very clear. Things are not going back to the way they were. You are not the leader. I am. You can't go to any mission you see fit. You will have authorization. You will pay for your own food. Pepper ended all the funds that Tony had for you. None of the credit cards he gave you will work, so you better work your asses up. What? So Tony wasn't going to fund them? And Steve wasn't the leader anymore? No, Steve has to find Tony and make him fix it. Then I'll talk to Tony. All of Roadside, as well as Sam, Clint, and Scott looked at him. What? We need to talk. He has to fix. Spider-Man then punched him on the face. Steve fell because of the strength of the punch. What? How dare you speak like that to Mr. Stark when it was you that made him go missing? Steve held his cheek. That kid was so strong. Vision, take him away. Vision left with Spider-Man. He ignored Wanda's calls. Rhodes, haven't you found Tony already? What happened? I don't know, Rogers. When you leave somebody in Siberia alone, things might go wrong. What? No, Tony was fine. I told him that. Clint added. So not everyone is happy with you on your team. Hey, Rogers. Hell, we aren't. That lying bastard separated Scott and I from our families. Clint, I will talk to Laura. I will shoot you if you get close to her, Rogers. Don't come to my house ever in your life. With that, Clint went away to his room. Sam, Scott followed him. Bucky looked at Steve before shaking his head and left as well. You know the rules. Break them. You're out. Rhodes went away after that. Steve couldn't believe this was the return he got. No matter, he will find Tony and make him fix this. Things will return to normal soon. Steve will make sure of it. Meanwhile, in the middle of the ocean, giant seahorses entered an area where a group of great whites was waiting. The first group has green armor, while the other has white. The leader took off his helmet, King Orm. At his side, the advisor Volko spoke. He understands the significance of this meeting. He'll hear you out. Orm nodded and swam towards the other king. King Orm, King Nearus, you picked a place too close to the surface for my liking. Don't you recognize the Council of the Kings? This is where the royals used to meet. Atlantis, Zebel, Fisherman, Brine, Deserters, and Trench had not yet fallen. Lost Nation had yet vanished. And now, look at us. Bound by ridiculous rules while the threat above us grows undeniable. Violence has always claimed the surface. Didn't you hear their superhero civil war? They are going to destroy themselves. Not before they destroy us first. Remember the Wakandians? Amazonians? Or what about Asgard? Asgard has been a close ally of Atlantis for centuries. And we have a peace treaty with Wakanda. They leave the world alone. It doesn't take the fact that we have hidden for long enough. The time has come for Atlantis to rise up again. Are you King Nearus? Volko said, by becoming the first to join King Orm's alliance. As if you have any choice, Volko. The deserters are all dead. No one knows what happened to the Lost Nation, and the Trench are nothing but animals. The Brine will never join you, and the Fishermen are cowards. Without me and my army to convince them, your plans are stillborn. But I know what you want. You want to be Ocean Master. That's just a title. I'm no fool, King Orm. As Ocean Master, you'll have the biggest military force on the planet at your command. Am the natural choice to lead it. Then why isn't Atlan's precious guardian with you? It said he just protects the true king of the seas. Besides, what about the other one, the Atlantean that walks among the surface, one of royal blood? Iron Man. He has never been on Atlantis. I have respect for him for his deeds as Iron Man, but that doesn't take away that. Bam. Suddenly, both kings were sent away by an explosion. Surface trawlers. Orm quickly grabbed his trident and attacked the coming submarine. With one hit, he had the propeller destroyed, and the sub went down. Nearus came to him. I am not trying to start this war. The war has already began. Then it's time we send them a message that they'll hear. So, you dated Lois Lane? Yelena asked. It wasn't my best moment, Sharon added. Please, you almost gave me a heart attack in that relationship. Shut up. I have so many bad dating stories with you. Pepper is just the peak of the iceberg, and you two are still good friends. Remember that girl Rachel? Or the time you were with Everhart? Or what about those months that you dated Bruce Wayne? Okay, we promised not to bring that one up. I was young and stupid. I was figuring out what were my sexual tastes, and messed that up a lot. It was the time I decided I only liked women. How could you not? We are gorgeous. Besides, you guys patch things up. Holy shit, my dating life is worse than yours. Haha, got you. They got close to the truck Yelena had used to get there. Someone will have to use the back to ride. Now you guys go alone, Tony waved. Kinda in the mood for a flight. Beside, I won't want to interrupt. God, you're impossible, Sharon wind. But Tony could tell she was secretly grateful. Tony walked to them towards the car, not noticing that a person had just come out of the ocean and was looking at him. Then quickly got back on the sea before they were looked at. You girls get there safely, okay? Don't worry, I am gonna get your dear cousin safely. Man, I already like you a lot. If only Sherry hadn't been there first. He closed the door and saw them off. Okay, let's wait for the suit and see. Splash. A woman, red hair. So red that it might be unnatural to others. She wore a green scaled suit and... Holy shit, was she pretty. But he knew exactly where she came from. So, nope. No. I've been looking for you. No. I need you to come with me to Atlantis. Yeah, right. Like this, I'll be welcome there. You defeated Loki and Ultron and saved the world. Saved Atlantis. That those give you recognition from our people. Look, I'll tell you what I told that rusty starfish Volko. Except nice because you are a lady. No thank you. Not interested. Your half-brother, King Orm, is planning to wage war on the surface. That finally got Tony's attention. Billions will die. Both your people and mine. We must stop him. And how do you propose we do that? You are the firstborn of Queen Maria. The throne is yours by birthright. Yeah, right, he chuckled. The only way to stop this war is to stop him. You must dethrone him and reclaim your rightful place as king. You think Orm is just gonna step down if I arrive? No, I am the half-breed son of a queen your people executed. Do you don't think that's gonna affect everything? By her look, he knew she thought the same. Trust me, I am no king, from what it looks like. You are a leader. Please don't bring the Avengers into this. Why? Even in Atlantis, we have heard the tales of Iron Man. Yeah, well, have you heard about how things ended up with the team? The truth that Captain America held from me. How my mother was found by your people. No one in Atlantis cares for Captain America. For us, he is just another regular human. Point taken. But still, if I was a so great leader, that wouldn't have happened. On the Avengers, you had people that weren't loyal. Atlantis is loyal to the king. Volko really believes on you. Old man has always been mistaken for that. I don't even know the first thing about being king. I know, look, it's not ideal, but the situation is urgent. Loki, Ultron, they are nothing like what Orm wants to do with the surface. You need to reclaim your birthright. Listen, my birthright, it died with my mom, and I am tired of fighting for a world that always blames me for everything. However, if Orm touches one of my people, then I'll make sure he feels what all of Iron Man's enemies feel. Tony got in the suit and flew away after that. Damn it. Meanwhile, at the Indian Ocean, David waited, holding his father's knife with him. For the damn buyer to appear. Suddenly, the water below his ship shined brightly, and a gigantic ship came below it. Soldiers wearing white armor came out of it and went straight to David. David stood up and faced the Atlantean soldiers head on. The leader walked towards him and used a screen to summon a water hologram. King Orm came on it. That submarine was barely operational, but it served its purpose. One of your kind interfered. He sneered. Who the... I see. He is not one of us. He killed my father, Orm shrugged, as he didn't care. Our transaction has ended. The lead soldier dropped a sack full of gold coins. Here, as we accorded. Now do yourself a favor and tell Hydra not to interfere with what's about to happen. Keep the money. I want Stark. Puffed. You are joking, right? Hasn't Hydra tried to take down Iron Man for so long? Yet fail every single time. No. Stark is Atlantean, therefore my problem now. It's actually pretty personal. We'll get in the line then. I had no idea he was one of you. As I said, he is not one of us. Well, not fully one of us. I do think him being half-breed makes him above your species. You little... Anyway, I got a war to fight, so you better stay away. If I need more business, I'll find you. Orm deactivated the hologram, and the soldiers walked away, back to their ship, and took it below the depths. David growled in rage. I'll get you, Stark. I'll avenge my father. Tony flew through the air, following his cousin's truck. King, me. Can you believe it, Fry? To be fair, boss. You were a CEO. Basically the king of S. You do know how to lead. Fry. You heard what Atlantis did to Mom. If for only loving someone of the surface they killed her, imagine what they would do to me. You don't know that for certain, boss. Atlantis would be lucky to have you as their king. I am honored on how good you think of me. But do I deserve it? You certainly do, boss. Boss, I just got a notification. The emergency alert system has started sounding on the area. There is an EAS? What's happened? Tsunami warning, boss. There's an incoming tsunami. Tsunami. Shit. That's when Tony noticed the birds flying away from the shoreline. He turned his head towards the sea and... Holy shit. The biggest wave he had ever seen came straight towards the land. He was safe on the air, but... Yelena and Sharon drove unaware of the upcoming danger. I liked your cousin. Seems dickish that Natalia screwed him over. Yeah, your sister was never able to truly leave the Red Room behind. She's just like Alexei, though it also explains why super soldiers are all idiots. Sharon giggled. Agreed. She turned to the window and saw the birds flying away. She turned to the sea and saw it. Shit. Yelena drive. Yelena noticed the wave. Son of a bitch. She pressed the accelerator and tried to get away. But the truck was nothing compared to the wave, and soon, it caught up to them. You know, this is a cool way to die. No, it is. This is my phobia. Oh. The water hit their truck and rolled them over. Sharon's world went black. Tony watched in horror as the truck was consumed by the wave. Friday opened the suit. The suit opened and Tony fell to the water. Atlantean instincts kicked in. He desperately searched for the woman. Sharon! He yelled. Sharon! Tony had to kick ships away. The wave had brought a dam bunker and there was... shit everywhere. Sharon, boss, over there. Tony looked and saw that on the whole chaos. There was an strange bubble. He went in and discovered this place was not underwater. What the... That's when she came back. The same Atlantean woman from before came in. Her eyes were shining blue and she extended her arms. She was doing this... controlling the water. Whoa. Cuz. He ran to them and ripped the door apart. Yelena was stumbling out of the truck, but Sharon was still on her chair. She's not breathing, Yelena cried. Tony pulled her out of the truck and tried to give CPR. Sharon. Stay with me, Sharon. The water finally subsided and the woman was able to stop using her power. She rushed to them. She's not breathing. Move, let me help. She kneeled beside him and used her powers to get the water out of Sharon. Soon his little cousin woke up and threw up a lot of water. Sharon, Tony said, relieved as he hugged her. Yelena looked relieved, so did the other woman. Tony turned to Hel, full of gratitude. You know, I don't even know your name. She nodded at him. It's Princess Ymera Isabella Chala. You may call me Mara. Tony nodded at her. Thank you, Mara. Mara nodded and walked towards the shoreline. Here, take care of her for me for a sec. Tony walked towards where Mara had gone. This was Orm's doing. The rest is still to come. Tony looked at the destruction and finally got the magnitude of the situation. Oh shit, the first attack was successful, my king, Volko said, though inside of him he was saddened by the loss of life. Mara needs to bring Tony in fast. Good. That was just a small one. Let's get the next ready. And where will it land, my king? Orm smirked. The Avengers compound. Steve never imagined they would return like this. The compound was still the same, and Steve was very happy to return to his old room, but he then found that most of his things were missing. He searched everywhere but was unable to find them. He only found his clothes, not his old radio and personal training equipment. Frustrated and worried, he went to get his team to see if they were on the same issue. Wanda was hysteric. She had lost everything. Natasha was very much the same, just their clothes remaining. Clint was empty as well, but Steve knew that wasn't an issue, as most of his things are on his farm. Sam still had all of his possessions though. Steve went to Rhodes to demand an explanation on what happened to their stuff. Those aren't yours, he said simply. What do you mean? They are our stuff, Wanda yelled. No, they are Tony's stuff, as they were bought by his money. Since he's not here, Pepper wasn't clear on what to do with them. So she threw them away. She can't do that, Steve yelled. You're right, she can't do that. Rhodes agreed, as it was bought with Tony's personal money. Only he gets to decide what happens with them. As it stands, he is missing, so we put those things on storage until he returns and then he can decide what to do with them. And what if he's dead? Wanda spatted. If Tony is dead, then those things will be sold. You are welcome to buy them. With your own money, of course. Rhodes was unwilling to speak anymore to them. Wanda looked like she might go on him. Natasha had to physically retrain her so that she wouldn't. Steve couldn't believe this. First they come back and are forced to sign the accords. Steve gets revoked his title. He is no longer the leader. And Tony is missing. He thought that his team would help him resume leadership, that they would make a stand and show Rhodes who they want to lead. But that didn't happen. Sam, Clint, and Scott made it clear that they won't follow him. Bucky was iffy about following him as well, feeling a lot of misplaced guilt on Tony's disappearance. It wasn't their fault. Steve tried to explain to them why he did it, why he was right to do it, but they didn't want to hear him. Only Nat and Wanda listened and agreed with him. On the middle of the day, Steve once again thought that maybe this was just a show of Tony, to make them bow to him and apologize. That once they've been punished enough, he'll come out of hiding. Typical Tony, avoiding all responsibility. But Friday heard him telling Nat his theory, and crushed it. She showed him the labs, the Chimeras in the tower, everywhere Tony could hide. He wasn't there. He was gone. Bucky felt extremely guilty for that, but Steve didn't hurt Tony. Why was everyone blaming him? Rhodes, Danvers, Van Dyne, and Vision were extremely cold with him, with him especially. Spider-Man refuses to even see him. When Steve asked to know who he was, Rhodes told him to mind his own business, as Spider-Man has the right to choose who to reveal his identity. But why not tell a hero like Steve? The protesters stayed until 7 p.m. Steve can't understand that either. He was trying to protect them. Steve sighed as he made his way to his room. At least they still had the compound, although they have to pay for everything now. Steve really needs to talk to Tony when they find him. As he made his way to his room, he noticed Spider-Man. The kid might have punched him when they arrived, but Steve forgave him for it. He had probably been manipulated to hate him by Tony before the fight on the airport, and didn't have the clear picture. What the kid needs is the guidance of Captain America, a true role model. Spider-Man wait. But he didn't. He ignored Steve and kept going. Spider-Man. As Steve went to grab his shoulder, Friday made a gun appear. Don't touch anyone that doesn't want to be touched, Mr. Rogers, or there will be consequences. Steve sighed and went away. He could have called the kid, but it was clear he wasn't listening to him. Maybe Nat had found a clue to where Tony might be. He needs the genius at his side so that things can return to normal. Peter sat beside one of the huge window. Friday, is the coast clear? Yes, Peter. Peter then removed his mask. Seeing the Rouges here, while Mr. Stark was still missing, it felt like a crushing defeat. He had failed on stopping Captain America, and now Mr. Stark was missing. It was all Peter's fault. He should have done more. I'm sorry, Mr. Stark. I'm so sorry. Peter felt some tears come out of his eyes. He sat down and turned on the TV. Last time on Total Drama Island, Heather was eliminated after all those days she made people suffer, leaving Gwen and Owen as the final. We are interrupting this broadcast to bring you an emergency alert. Please stand by. Please stand by. Peter's attention got in the TV. What was happening? Then it appeared. Tsunami warning. Tsunami warning. A tsunami warning has been given to the city of New York. A giant tsunami has been detected. Its detection has come unexpectedly, and the wave is bigger than any tsunami ever recorded. It is too late to evacuate. Get to high ground now. Get to high ground now. Not following this instructions will likely result on death. Stark Tower has been opened to take evacuees in. Tsunami impact expected on the next 10 minutes. Get to high ground now. Get to high ground now. Peter got scared. He didn't remember the last time a tsunami struck New York. There wasn't even an earthquake. What could have provoked it? But he was safe. May had moved into Stark Tower and lives on the top floor, so she was safe as well. Bam. Peter turned scared to see a bird stumbling as it hit the window. Luckily, the bird was only a bit stunned and soon flew away. Peter then saw many birds were flying away. Away from the compound. Peter turned down and then he saw a giant wave rushing down the river close to the compound. The tsunami. It was coming straight towards the compound, straight towards him. Peter turned and ran. Ran as fast as he could. But even with superpowers, he can't outrun the water. Peter put his mask on. Karen, turn on the oxygen, he screamed, just as the water came in and took him. Peter's world went black. Rhodey had been on his desk, dealing with paperwork, when the tsunami warning was given. It was strange. There was no earthquake. What the hell could have caused a tsunami to appear out of nowhere? There was no time to evacuate. They had to get the people to high ground. Rhodey rushed to get into the War Machine suit to go help. Colonel, a tsunami wave just struck the compound, Friday yelled. What the fuck? The War Machine suit got him just before the water rushed in. Carol and Hope were driving towards the compound when they heard the alarm hit the radio. Shit, faster Danvers, we need to get ready to help. I'm trying Van Dyne, but oh shit. The next moment, their car was flipped by tons of water. As a pararescue man, Sam knew how dangerous a tsunami truly is and how critical it is to make an efficient evacuation. Rhodes had cleared him to go and help with the evacuation. Sam went to get his wings. Every moment was critical. Then the earth started to shake. What the? Sam was soon underwater. Scott had seen the wave and immediately called for an ant to take him away. Let's fly, Antonio. He had to get out. Then he could go big and try to save the others. Scott got to the air, but a bird came in and ate his friend. Tonio! Scott yelled as he fell to the water. Wanda was on her bedroom, ranting about how empty it was and how unfair it was that Stark got to choose what happened with her stuff. They were hers. Who cares if they were bought by his blood money? Damn you, Stark. You take everything from... Then the ground started shaking. Curious, Wanda turned to her window to see a wave just about to crash into her. Wanda yelled before the water took her. Clint was running through the halls. He had to get out before the damn building collapsed on him. Bucky rushed past of him. Damn that super soldier serum. Shut up and run, Barton. Drops of water stared falling on them. They were too late. Before they could be hit, Vision came in and grabbed them. Steve came into Nat's room frustrated. Any sign on Tony? No. It's like he banished from the face of the air. Not even on all of his safe houses. I can't get to them, Steve. Tony secured them, but you have hacked into Tony's tech before. If anyone could do it, was Nat. I know, but is the ground shaking? Steve noticed she was right. Yeah. What is happening? Steve and Natasha were soon attacked by tons of water. The compound was gone. Vision had been warned of the wave coming towards them, and while there is no logical explanation on what was happening, he had to hurry and save the others. Colonel Rhodes was safe on the War Machine suit. Captain Danvers and Ms. Van Dyne managed to escape thanks to the former. Mr. Lang had also made it out on time. He already rescued Wilson, Barton, and Barnes. Colonel Rhodes had Maximoff, meaning the only ones left were Mr. Parker, Rogers, and Romanoff. Colonel Rhodes and Captain Davners were closer to the latter, so Vision had to focus on Peter. Peter, Vision called. Vision, on your left. Vision managed to avoid the wreckage thanks to Friday, and he saw him. Peter was floating there, his foot trapped under the wreckage. Luckily, he still had his mask. Vision quickly took him away. Rhodey looked at the destroyed compound. The wave finally ended, but it got everyone here. Only Carol, Rogers, and Romanoff are missing. Hope said. That got solved quickly, as a soaking Carol flew to them with an unconscious Rogers and Romanoff. Who's gonna pay for my car, was all she said. Steve woke up shortly after being saved. Ugh, what had happened? Why is he so... Rogers, Rhodes asked. Are you alright, Rhodes? What happened? See it yourself? Steve sat down and gasped. The compound was totally destroyed. Their home was gone. What happened? He asked again. Where we attacked? No. A tsunami wave got the compound. A tsunami? Steve didn't believe it was just that. It doesn't make any sense, Van Dyne said. A tsunami wave couldn't have gotten this close. We are not nearby the coast. Or it would have been more weakened, Sam said. Maybe flooded the lower floors, but to destroy the compound, it makes no sense. Well, it's not like we can do anything about it. That's nature, always evolving. Danvers said. I'm afraid that is not entirely true, Captain, a new voice said. Everyone turned to an orange portal came from nowhere, and a man with a blue robe and red cape came out. He reminded Steve a lot about Tony. Stephen Strange, Rhodes asked. Indeed. I went through some changes, but you were missing. Ah, yes. That was kind of intentional on my part. Only my fiancé, Dr. Palmer, knew where I was. But that is outside the point. I am from an order of sorcerers who keeps tabs on dangers that this world faces. We were able to help the people get saved before the tsunami wave hits the city. But we also learned that this doesn't have to do with Mother Nature. What are you saying? I'm saying, Colonel. This was no natural disaster. This was an intended attack. Yes, just as Steve thought. Soon, reality settled onto everyone on what was really happening. Steve gripped his fist. Someone was trying to start a war. Well, Steve wasn't going to give up. If they wanted a fight, he will give them one. Steve gripped his fist. Someone was trying to start a war. Well, Steve wasn't going to give up. If they wanted a fight, he will give them one. Meanwhile, in Admesty Bay, Tony watched as the news reports record how the wave struck New York. Evacuations were successful, boss, but there is no telling how many casualties yet. Orm is really doing it. Sharon walked in his room. The BBC just aired a tsunami warning on London. There's also one on Tokyo and Rio de Janeiro at the moment. And there are marine activities that suggest more are coming. Tony cited. Sherry, I don't think I have any other choice. I know I can't stop you. Elena and I will take care of the fort. You be careful out there. He might be your brother, but he's an asshole. I'll contact you both when I can, and please make Elena your girlfriend when I return. Take care, Shellhead. Also, not to implicate anything, but that Mara is truly a beauty, and I saw you starting at her. With a wink, Sharon left. Tony cited, ignoring that last part. He walked outside the lighthouse, where Mara was watching the sea. She turned to him. So, have you made your choice? Yes, let's go to Atlantis. Massive waves have been striking various coasts of the world. Governments are panicked as many are left homeless. Hundreds expected dead as a tsunami strikes San Francisco. The damage is immense, and authorities are doing what they can to find the missing people. This is the BBC reporting after the massive tsunami hit London. Bridges have been destroyed, and many homes have been destroyed. The Queen calls for calm as the authorities try to find the missing people and reunite with their families. O Rio de Janeiro sufrió grandes estragos. Evito litoral a todo costo. Alerta de tsunami en la ciudad de Cartagena. Esta es una ola de magnitud no antes vista. Por favor, evacuar la costa lo más rápido y ordenadamente posible. Esto no es un simulacro. Alerte, tsunami, alerte, tsunami. Un tsunami a detect veneto droit vers la cité sud de la France. Pernes de la hauteur. Experts are baffled as more of the tsunamis continue to strike city after city. There are no earthquakes that cause this waves. How are they forming? And why are they so common? It has to be that SHIELD girlquake. No one else could create things like this. Senator Nadir screamed. Please, Senator. There is no way that a single individual can cause that. General Talbot yelled back. Now I suggest you shut up unless you want to be the next Ross. You are already in deep shit. Warships from SHIELD, the army, and even Hydra are washing up the shore. What is going on? No. Listen to me. This is our first contact with the people of Atlantis. There you go again, with your insane Atlantean theory. You have no proof, Dr. Shin. Honestly, you should have stayed with your twin stepbrother, Jimmy Woo. How did that happen anyway? Open your eyes, Dr. Shin yelled, ignoring the strange thing of his stepbrother. We already have an Atlantean among us, Aquaman. Dr. Shin? Is the doctor really crazy? Christine Everhart said. We live on a world where the Norse gods are real. One is an Avenger, the other almost destroyed New York. We have Wakanda, who just came out of isolation with things we didn't think they were possible. The recent outbreak of Inhumans. We live on a world where anything is now possible. Is it so far-fetched to say Atlantis is just a myth now? Christine, do you really think that? I don't know. We know more about space than the ocean. It could happen. And you think, if they are real, that we could find them? I think that there is only one person capable of finding Atlantis, if it's real. But that person is currently missing. After saying goodbye to his cousin, Tony stood with Mara on the edge of a cliff. It was time to go. He stared at the cliff. It represented a good memory. What is it? Mara asked. This is where Volko gave me my first swimming lesson. 24 years ago. You have to forget the teachings of the surface world, Volko told a young Tony. And reach out to your Atlantean genes. But I already know how to swim. Volko smirked. Not even close. Just to be clear, I'll help you stop this war. Sigh. Do what you will. Let's focus on an issue at the time. Volko and young Tony landed on the ocean and swam away. Being Atlantean means that when you reach underwater, you become a new being. I can talk underwater too. This is awesome. Oh, we can do much more than just talk underwater. He catched up to Volko just as they went deeper on the ocean. Tony exited, swam around a group of jellyfish. Then he went to the surface and jumped. Ooh. Tony then found out a pod PF dolphins and jumped with them. Just wait until Sharon hears of this. Yeah. Meanwhile, Volko sat on a reef, watching a group of manta rays swim by. Thanks, bud, Tony said to a dolphin that tooled him to Volko. He turned to his mentor. So Volko, when can I see Mom again? Volko looked at him, disguising his pained look. Soon, my young prince. When you are ready, I'll take you to see your mother. I hid my ship in here, Mara said, opening a crate. Tony looked disgusted. Oh, hell no. I am not getting on that ship. Well, to get where we are going, you are going to have to. Your ship has been marinated in shumber. I'm going to be smelling like that for weeks. I think it's better than what you smell. What even is that? Hey, is Axe body spray. It's really good. Yeah, I am not going to say that I know what that is, because I don't. Tony smelled himself again. I think it's good. He then swam to the ship and sat on her side. Mara started the ship and off they went. How long is it from here? 2 hours. Great. Don't you have any music on this ship? Why would we have music on a ship? Those Atlantis know how to have fun. The 2 hours were a bit uncomfortable. Riding with a person you barely knew, yet she saved your little cousin and you are teaming up to stop a war, and is pretty as fuck, can be awkward. They soon reached underwater cannon, where they saw a lot of ships entering a portal gate. What's that? The Gateway Bridge is the only way in and out of the capital. Why have a bridge underwater? For better security. That way border control can monitor any ship coming in and out. Besides, trying any other way would be suicide. They'll never get past the water cannons. Water cannons? Yeah, people tried to sneak in all the time. They soon reached the gate. Don't worry, I have diplomatic clearance. They soon entered the gate, and for the first time, Tony saw it. Atlantis. Welcome home. Tony looked amazed at the place. It was truly a marvelous world. Whales and turtles carried crates around. Jellyfish functioned a light. Ships that shield would do anything to gain. Tony might have resentment against this place, but he swore to keep it hidden, and hasn't gone back on his word. Mara got them down to the lower levels of the city. The highborns never venture down here. We will be safe. They got close to a shipwreck, surrounded by hammerhead sharks. Tony knew who was particularly fond with this species. We're here. She opened the doors, and the two swam to one of the holes. It's when Tony noticed that there was a surface-like thing covering the holes on the ship. He curiously swam towards the hole, and bam, gravity took over and he fell face first to the floor. Ow! Mara came behind him, landing on her feet. What the? An air pocket for extra precaution. Only the highborns can breathe air as well as water. You could have warned me beforehand. Oops. Don't worry. She did that her first time here. Besides, this helps keep the animals out. They get kinda messy. Volko looked at them, throwing a fish back into the ocean. Mara helped Tony back on his feet and walked towards Volko. Volko, there you are, old man. After all this years, you finally got what you wanted. Tony walked towards him and put a hand on his mentor's shoulder. Even with everything, he cares about the rusty starfish. Volko smiled back. I can't believe Orm attacked, Mara said. Volko sighed. That wasn't an attack. Legally, he is not allowed yet. What he did with those waves was just a warning. An attack will be much, much worse. What provoked it? King Orm and your father were ambushed by the surface. The surface. Tony laughed. Absurd. Most of the people out there think Atlantis is a fairy tale. The only one that knows is my annoying little cousin. You met her? Indeed. How's Ms. Carter? She's good. An asshole framed her, but she's working on it. Really, the main reason I'm here is that Orm's attack almost took her from me. Yes, and so many must have lost. The situation is critical. After the attack, Zebel sides with Atlantis. Orm now has enough power to make the other two kingdoms surrender to him. If we are going to stop this war, you have to dethrone him, now. Look, how many times do I want to tell you? I don't want to be king. You don't understand. Once he's named Ocean Master, it will be too late. The power at his disposal will be bigger than what you saw with Ultron last year. Guys, I am from the surface. Sure, like you said, I know how to lead, thanks to SI. But to be king, I wouldn't know where to begin. By winning the hearts and the mind of the people, by proving to them you are the true king. Volko showed him the drawing of a trident. Already got one of those. He pointed to his mother's trident. The only thing he had from her true home. Not like this, you don't. This is the sacred trident of Atlan, the first king of Atlantis. Only the one true king can wield it. It was crafted with Poseidon steel, made from the scales of a legendary monster. King Atlan used it to rule the seas, and even gave him the ability to speak with animals. So what? I do that all the time. Mara looked at him, while Volko smiled. What? Isn't that common? No. We work with animals, but we can't speak with them. Only true descendants can do that, she said, realizing Volko was right. Oh. So where's the trident, to know that? We must got to the time of the Great Fall, when all of the kingdoms were once. We were the greatest nation of Earth. Even Wakanda didn't rival us. But we became too ambitious. King Atlan tried to investigate an item with great power. But it was too much. Atlantis sank. But the stone that doomed us helped us involved. It allowed us to breath underwater, to become more stronger and faster, with much longer lifespans than a regular human. Some like us, Zebel, or the fishermen, evolved. Others like the brine regressed, and some like the trench, became savages, losing all humanity. And the king lived the remainder of his days on self-imposed exile. After making sure the soul stone was hidden, he vanished with the trident and hasn't been seen ever since. He took out a little cylinder. One of our archaeological teams found this short ago. It holds the clue to Atlan's trident. So where is it? We don't know, Mara said. Technology is too old. The markings of the device have the same of the Deserter Kingdom. You must go there and find the clue to Atlan's trident. Tony went to grab the device, but bam! An explosion shook everything, sending them flying. Tony fell on his head, and his world went black. Before he went, he heard a man speak. In the name of His Highness King Orm, you are under arrest. A man came with a tray towards another man who was sitting beside the computer. No matter how long you see that, it won't give you the answers you seek. You know that, then what are you still doing? Trying to get everything I can on this incident. Master Bruce. The UN is having a meeting at the moment about the current crisis. Bruce Wayne turned to Alfred. Why would I? Because the Avengers will be present on it. I thought you should know? Bruce smiled. Well, maybe it's time Batman visits the Avengers. Tony shakily woke up and noticed he was in chains. He was on a white really big room, with guards holding him in place. Damn it! Welcome to Atlantis, brother. Tony looked towards the voice and saw his brother, Orm, sitting on the throne, alone. I dreamed of this day for so long. To see what humiliated me for long. The fact that I have a half-breed brother. But now that you are here, I must say... Yeah, well, conflict is all that we have, little brother. You should know about that, considering the whole Iron Man gig. I also see you brought our mother's trident. Is that what you come here for? To kill me? I come here to stop a war that will cause both sides to lose billions of life. I see. It is the duty of an Avenger to protect the world of surface. But tell me, what do you think of the atrocities that your people already commit against our home? Pollution, garbage everywhere. Bringing wars to the seas when we have nothing to do with them, making species go extinct. Destruction everywhere. Yet you take their side. I ain't taking sides. Yes, humans are stupid. The ocean shouldn't have paid the price for our own stupidity. But for every asshole, there's 100 innocent people that will pay the price for them. Revealing Atlantis to the world could cause more damage to your kingdom. I see, which is why the only way to show us is to show our dominance. What else, little brother? Are you here for revenge? Well, I do want some payback for almost my little cousin. Yeah, well, wait a minute, little cousin. Yeah, what did you think I was going to say about the destruction of your team's headquarters? Don't you want revenge? Oh, I could care less about most of them, and I know my friends are safe, so... Yeah, if you kill Captain America, thank you. Huh. Was not expecting that. Seems that maybe you aren't so ignorant to our kingdom as I thought. Tell you what, I'll make you a deal, and if you follow it, the war will be over. But if you don't, then you die. Tony froze a bit at those words. What kind of a deal is that? Still, if it can stop the war, he's willing to make the sacrifice. Sure. What's the deal? The deal is, defeat me on the Ring of Fire, so to follow the deal, you have to defeat me. Winning means that I'll immediately stop all preparations, and there is no war. If I win, you don't follow the deal, and, well, you know what happens. Wait, the Ring of Where? The guards took Tony away before he could ask. Tony was taken to a room and told to get prepared. Fucking Atlantis and their strange costumes. How could you let Orm trick you? Vulko yelled, entering the chamber. Hey, I thought we could solve this peacefully. The signs were there. Why do you think he made sure neither Mara or I were there? We would have given you the signal that something was wrong. Well, I think I can solve it. I mean, if I win, no more war, I get to go home. You are a formidable fighter. On the surface, you would certainly win. But do not forget, Orm has trained all his life fighting underwater, fighting to be the best. He trains on the same place you are going to fight right now. This is his element. You taught me how to fight Cobra Kai. Let's see how much you remember. Vulko threw a trident to Tony. 20 years ago, young Tony caught the trident. What's with the giant fork? That's your mother's trident, Vulko explained. It's the royalty weapon of Atlantis. Now defend yourself. Vulko attacked Tony with his spear. Tony tried his best to defend himself. Tony tried to attack him, but Vulko pushed him away. A-R-G? Vulko then started doing a strange movement with his spear. Water came out of the shore and circled with it. What's that? I'll teach you this move when you have mastered the trident. Tony tried to attack again, but he was thrown away. He sat frustrated on the beach. Vulko looked at him. This is pointless. You need to pick this up. To follow your mother. How come she never visits anyway? I told you, when you... Stop lying. I have done everything that you said, and over time I pass a test, you make up another one. It's been years since she faked her death on that crash to return there. Does she not love me? Your mother loved you more than anything in the world. After the crash, she was captured and forced back to Atlantis. She had to give King Orvax a son, Prince Orm. When Orvax found out about you, he was overcome by jealousy and sacrificed to the creatures of the trench. Are you saying they executed her? Vulko's silence told him everything. Tony threw his trident in fury. He remembered other moments. Stain's betrayal. Shield's manipulations, Loki and the Chitauri, the portal, Killian, the info dump and the lives he was unable to save. The Maximoffs and their delusional hatred, Ultron, the Accords and how most of the team went rouge, Siberia, Rogers. With all that rage, Tony grabbed the trident Vulko threw at him. I remember everything. This is for you. Orm gave Mara a bracelet. Tell me, do you think your mother would like her sons killing each other? I know your doubts, Mara. I don't want this war. Oh, please. I know you since we were kids. Your mother taught us better. What you are doing goes against everything that she taught us. And your brother, he has proven himself. My mother told us lies and betrayals, and I won't deny Tony's achievements that suit. It's impressive, and he fought and defeated an Asgardian. I won't take that away from him. But if I had to take him out for the good of Atlantis, I will. Tony and Vulko arrived to the ring. All right, so, ready for getting you ass kicked? Orm glared at him. Vulko, take Mara away. Vulko took Mara from the ring. She sensed Tony a look of good luck. So, brother, in Atlantis, we have a legend of a monster that lies in wait to be awoken, and the beast is awakening. Tony stood closer to Orm. You know, there was a time that I wanted to meet you more than anything, to get to know my little brother, to tell him that we were at this together. That's until I realized what an ass you are. You took our mother from us, and I have hated you ever since. But I don't want to kill you, Tony. Your actions as Iron Man, they prove what a true warrior you are. So listen, I am giving you one chance. Go home. The place you choose will be spared, and so will your family. But listen, war is coming to the surface, and I am bringing the wrath of the seven seas with me. You can't stop it. You know I can't let you do that. I know. Then a hatch opened in the ceiling. People cheered from the top. What's that? The Ring of Fire. With that, Orm swam up. Shit. Tony swam and saw the massive ring, with everyone cheering. He should have thought this better. Vera swam to the royal stand with her father. Never thought I saw the day my father would bow to the king of Atlantis. Nereus grunted. The surface dwellers attacked first. What did you expect us to do? I don't like the surface either. But don't you think all of this is a bit too practical for Orm? Nereus gave her a look, which gave her everything. But you won't be so guidable. You want this war too, don't you? It is time the people of the surface know their place. With this Avengers, they are getting way out of hand. If this is the only way, so be it, Mara sighed and looked at Vulko. Shit. Tony and Orm stood face to face. You have our mother's trident, powerful, but flawed. Like her, I wield my father's, and it has never known defeat. With that, Orm attacked Tony. Tony tried to defend himself, but Orm was able to break all of his defenses. Tony tried to push him, to get him off him, but Orm was stronger. Orm grabbed Tony and made a move to throw him to the lava pit. I promised Maria I would protect him, Volko said. Tony still tried to get free. This is not a fight. It's an execution. Tony managed to recover and threw Orm into the lava. Orm barely managed to stop safely before charging at Tony. Tony charges as well. Boom. The brothers collided and floated to the outside of the ring. The people cheered exited. Tony managed to gain some good hits, but Orm was kicking his butt. Seeing how this was about to end, Mara had to make a choice. It was going to cost her a lot, but the sacrifice would be worth it. She swam away when her father wasn't looking. Only Volko did. The two fought outside the ring. Orm brought Tony to his knees. Orm then struck Tony. He used the trident to shield himself, and it worked until his trident shattered. Tony lost the last thing he had from his mother. I am the true king. But Tony was feeling rage. The last thing of his mother, the last memory he had of her. So Tony put on the suit and blasted Orm away. After the shock, the crowd cheered. A good fight. Looks like the half-breed is not that bad. Yes, let's go, brother. Show me the power of Iron Man. So the two resumed fighting. This time it was a bit even. However, the suit wasn't built to fight this much on underwater. So Orm managed to strike the arc reactor, leaving the suit powerless. Goodbye, brother. Orm went to kill Tony, but a stream of water came and grabbed him, bringing Orm back to the center of the ring. What? A giant current came and crashed into him. Tony looked at that when a ship came close by. Mara opened the hatch. You are waiting for an invitation. Tony let go of the suit and sat beside her. Code 7942. Just as they took off, the suit auto-destructed. Mara, Orm yelled in rage of her betrayal. You know that the plan was to get the trident and then challenge Orm. I thought to do it backwards, still the same. And why leave the suit behind? It's useless now. I got another one just in case. Ships started chasing them through the city. Mara used the buildings to try to dodge them. Bad guys at R6. What does that even mean? Bad guys behind us. Then just say that they soon got close to the wall. Wow, you are getting too close to the wall. I know. You said that the water cannons... I did now, shut up. They dodged the water cannons, but just at the border, one of them strikes Mara's ship. They rolled out of control until they got close to the lava pit. We are not dead yet, but I am hoping they think we are. Just before the ship crashed, they jumped out and swam away. Tony saw a pod of whales nearby. Hold this. He started communicating with the whale. It then opened its mouth. What are you doing? Listen, it worked for Pinocchio. Now get in. Great, now we're being eaten, Mara said as the whale closed its mouth. Orm looked as the ship sank on the lava. No sign of Mara or his brother, but he knew better than to think they are dead. How are you even doing this? Mara asked on the whale's mouth. I don't know. Sometimes I talk to them, sometimes it's otherwise. Can you do this with all animals? Yes, but is easier with whales and dolphins? And jellyfish freak me out. The whale then made a sound. UF, the coast is clear, so where do we go now? Mara took out the map. To the ocean of sand your people call the Sahara. Great. Everything was a mess. Many of the cities in the world were also hit by tsunamis. There had been no earthquakes that could cause them, and the size of the waves was just unreal. The compound was destroyed. Rhodey and Vision moved back in the tower. Since May was working for Pepper, Peter moved there as well. Carol and Stephen had their own homes. Carol lives in Louisiana, far away from the sea, and Stephen's home in New York was protected by a spell. He was relived that his fiancée Christine was living there. She was safe. Wilson took some time to see his sister and nephews, not offering anyone any invitation. Barton was allowed to return to his family. Laura made it clear that the invitation was only for him, something Barton had no problem with. Lang and Hope was allowed back too, but for more tragic reasons. San Francisco was also hit by a tsunami, and among the casualties was Hank Pym. Hope had to go back to protect all of Pym's research. As well as grieving, she probably also wanted a friend to grieve, hence why Lang went with her. Also, Dude has a family, and while his ex-wife, her husband, and daughter had not suffered because of the tsunamis, he still wanted to check on them. Rhodey will give to Wilson, Barton, and Lang that they were genuinely sorry for what they did. Rogers lied to them and used them. That doesn't mean Rhodey was ready to be all good with them, but at least they realized that they were wrong. Rogers and the others, though, they were a pain in the ass. Rogers demanded that Pepper let them live in the tower again. He said that it was Avengers Tower, and that they had a right to live in there. Pepper, of course, shut him up. She told him that this was Stark Tower, and that since it was Rogers that made Tony disappear, he wasn't allowed in any of Tony's properties. Romanoff tried manipulating Pepper by using Tony would want this and all of that shit. It didn't work. Maximoff tried her powers, but Strange apparently had the ability to block them. He learned of this after it happened. He had placed a blocker on the witch when they first met, and Rogers just winned like a little kid. Barnes, at the very least, accepted this and made Rogers shut up. Pepper using the disappearing statement really shook him up. He doesn't know what to think of the former Winter Soldier, but at least he is better than his old buddy. The UN Council made them stay on a motel that they were willing to pay for the meantime. Rogers wasn't happy. He believed he should get the treatment of a king because he was a hero. That righteous asshole. Now, they were all in a meeting, trying to find if the tsunamis were truly a natural incident or a direct attack. Stephen only knew it was intentional, but he had no idea who the attackers were. Event those who briefly left had returned. They sat on the table when Friday sent the alert. Colonel, incoming spaceship heading towards Earth. Are you serious? Aliens? Now? Could they be the ones behind this? Hope asked. No, I don't think so, Carol said. From all the species I know, none have the power or technology to create water-based attacks at this level. At least not in Forged waters. They are not a threat, Stephen said. I know that ship and they are friendly. Just then, FRIDOY broadcasted a message. Avengers, it is I, Thor. That brought great relief to the group. It wasn't a threat. They were friends. Tell them to land Friday. And that we are in a deep shit right now and need help. Bruce accepted many things when he returned to Earth. But what FRIDOY told him, he never saw it coming. Cities being destroyed by unnatural tsunamis, not being provoked by anything. He has no idea what's happening. He looked at the pictures. Those waves were abnormally huge, and there was no seismic activity to make them. What the hell? Thor was also looking at the waves, but he seemed to have an idea. Bruce. Rhodey looked shocked at seeing him there. Hey Rhodey, you were in space all this time. Yeah, spent all this time as the Hulk trapped in a crazy gladiator planet. Then after a fight which no one knows who won. He looked at Thor. Thor saved me and got me to Asgard, where he had to fight his evil sister. So evil brother and evil sister? He asked Thor. To be fair, there is more about Loki that has been discovered. But Hela is truly evil, but we have to find another time for that story. Yes, you have to tell me that story. Steve then approached them. Bruce, Thor, it's good to see you. Hello, Steve, Bruce said curtly, his last memories of Steve attacking Tony on the word of a Hydra terrorist. He looked at the Avengers. There were many new faces, but one was missing. Where is Tony? Steve answered first. I am afraid Tony's betrayed us. What? Vision then came in. Before Mr. Rogers can lie again. No, Tony didn't betray us. In fact, it was the opposite, Dr. Banner. Mr. Rogers betrayed him. So, Vision told them all about the Civil War, bringing footage when Steve tired to argue. Bruce was furious. He could feel the Hulk's rage. So, with green arms, he slammed Steve into the wall. How could you, Steve? He was our friend, and you betrayed him, and then you have the grace to lie to us, so that you can make yourself look better. Let me tell you, the Accords are the right thing. You need them to control your delusions, and you made Tony go missing. Stop denying that. I swear I should let the Hulk smash you. Bruce, stop. It was Valkyrie. Val, he is an idiot and betrayed your friend. He deserves everything you said, but justice will catch him soon enough. Don't waste your anger on a fool like him. With that, Bruce dropped Steve. He turned to look at the waves again, but before that, he saw Maximoff. What is she doing here? Bruce yelled again. Wanda is one of us, Bruce. Steve said firmly. Yeah, right. So you betray our teammates and then welcome Terroritsits. She's sorry for what she's done. She's an Avenger now? Yeah, well, count me down out the Avengers. What, Bruce? Steve yelled. Natasha got closer to Bruce. Calm down, Bruce. Do you need a lullaby or... But before that woman could get close, Valkyrie grabbed her arm. I suggest you get away from him, if you want to keep your arm, that is. Natasha glared at her and tried to get free, to intimidate her. She did nothing. It's clear who's superior. I suggest you do nothing, Ms. Romanoff, Thor said. Brunhilde is the last of the legendary Valkyrie. The best warriors of Asgard. She outmatches you in every way. Thor then turned to Steve. I am equally as angered and disgusted by your actions, Rogers. I know the pain of losing your parents. How dare you lie to friend Tony about that and then beat him up? I was protecting... No, those were offense moves. If anything, friend Tony was the one holding back. Thor walked up to him. If friend Tony is found dead, you won't escape my wrath. Lighting appeared on his arms. The Avengers didn't know of this new Thor. The one that had grown and no longer attacked without thinking. A Thor that is more powerful than ever. With that, Thor turned to the pictures of the waves. I might have an idea on what is causing this waves. Everyone looked at him. Really, what? Atlanteans? Everyone looked at him. Thor, are you saying Atlantis is real? Bruce asked. They are my friend. They helped Asgard defeat the Dark Elves a long time ago. My father had a great respect for them. We are allies, in fact. Considering everything that had happened the last years, Atlantis being real doesn't seem that crazy. I see no other explanation. You humans weren't the nicest to them. It might have been a long time ago, but from what it looks like, they want revenge. Not to mention the pollution, driving species to extinction. Yeah, I can see why they would want revenge. Bruce sighed. He just dealt with the Ragnarok of Asgard, and he come home to deal with Atlantis. He's going to take a long, long break after this. Steve couldn't believe this, after their appearance. Thor and Bruce, along their friend, singed the Accords after Vision explained what they were to them. When he tried to stop them, they told him to shut up. Every time he tried to show them the truth behind the document, he was ignored. Steve couldn't believe they didn't side with him, the correct side. Thor and Bruce also said that they won't be on a team with Steve. Thor talked about starting their own team. First, the compound gets destroyed. Pepper doesn't allow them on the tower. Steve will talk to Tony about taking her power away from her. She clearly doesn't deserve it. And then Sam, Scott, and Clint get angry for something he had to do. It's so unfair. He couldn't believe this was the way things were going. Then there's the current situation at hand. Atlantis. He can't believe Atlantis is real, but there is no other explanation. So, will you help us fight them? Rhodes asked Thor. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I can't help you this time. What? Steve yelled, outraged. My people are close allies with the people of Atlantis. Unless they attack us, we won't fight them. So you are going to let Earth be destroyed? My people are homeless, still shocked by the destruction of our home. I must focus on them. If Atlantis does become a bigger threat, then I might interfere, but for now, my focus is on them. Thor turned to Rhodey. Listen to me. I have learned the value of diplomacy. You need to try it with them. Atlanteans are not to be messed with. What's so special about them? Natasha asked. Well, let's see. A general Atlantean is as strong as an Asgardian. Their tech is more advanced than anything you all have, except maybe for the one that you betrayed. The only downside they have is that they can't breathe air. Then we just draw them in. Steve said. They might be stronger, but they know their weakness, and he doubts that they are stronger than him. That's just the commoners, the regular folks, the nobles. They are at another level. They can breathe air and water, or even stronger. And some of them even have extra abilities that makes them even more deadlier. These people are not to be messed with. And it is on humanity's best interest to find a diplomatic solution than a fight. Thor gave a nod to everyone and left back to the ship. Bruce said goodbye to Rhodey and also left. Ignoring Natasha's calls, Steve glared at them as they left. He expected more from them. But no matter, this gives him the perfect chance to finally show the world the truth. If Atlantis needs to be defeated, who better to do it than Captain America? They wanted to start a war, and Steve will fight them and defeat them. Then the world will see that he was a true hero, and everything will return to the way it was. So you really can't help them? I know Atlanteans. I think there is more going in. Regardless, they have much more power than Asgard at the moment. I see. So they are really that strong, my friend. And there is something else. Legends say that Atlantis on its time of need is aided by a monster of the seas, with power unlike anything ever seen on the galaxy. That is something I can't afford to face right now. Shit. Well, like you said, your people come first. Speaking of, yeah, what are we gonna do about Loki? I'm sure everything will be fine with my brother. Steve felt anger at seeing Thor and Bruce leave. Great, just great. So Thor is out and the Hulk is out, Sam said. What more can go wrong? We'll manage it, Steve said. They had done things before without Thor and Bruce. Steve, every time a big crisis comes in, those two are there. They are the muscles and pure power force of the Avengers. Sam countered. Steve missed the day Sam just believed in him. It was much easier when the team functioned like that. Well, it's not like we can force him, Danvers said. Dude wants to look after his people. Indeed. I also suspect Mr. Odinson himself wishes to take time to take what happened and his new position. He is making the wise choice on not fighting for now, Vision said. And man, Bruce spent all that time trapped. I think that he needs time as well. Kinda curious on who's the Asgardian that is so fond of him. Rhodes said, looking at Natasha. Steve still didn't believe how Bruce just ignored Natasha. Didn't they have something? So what do we do now? Clint asked. Steve sighed, ready to take command, but then, now you listen. Suddenly, the room turned dark for some seconds, and when the lights returned, holy shit, Spider-Man yelled. It's Batman. The so-called Batman stood at the front of the table. Steve had heard of him. The hero of Gotham. He wasn't impressed with the vigilante, but the public seemingly loved him. Avengers, he greeted. They're not the ones I wanted to see. I miss Thor and Dr. Banner. What do you want with Thor and Bruce? Steve demanded. My business with them alone. I have no interest in talking to you, Captain America. Excuse me. You heard me. I got no interest in talking to a selfish, righteous asshole that only cares about himself. Steve felt anger and walked towards Batman. How did you call me? He demanded. I am nothing like that. I am a hero. The people of Lagos would surely agree with that. Or the ones in Romania, Lepizig, or even Sokovia, when you brought the one that helped Ultron to your team. Wanda growled, her hands glowed red. That won't work on me, Ms. Maximoff. Even without Doctor Strange here, I have friends. Wanda stepped back, shocked. Steve felt the need to defend her. Don't talk to Wanda like that. I talk to her like I fucking want Rogers. She's a terrorist. You all are. Steve had enough. He went to throw a punch at Batman. He didn't bow down to bullies. But Batman just dodged it, and then, bam, ow. Steve yelled, but Batman wasn't done. He grabbed Steve's face and punched him twice. Steve fell to the floor, his nose bleeding. You deserve more than that, Batman growled. Everyone was stunned. Why did no one speak on Steve's defense? What do you want? Natasha said. I came to see the people that drove Earth's greatest protector away. Even those who were supposed to be his friends. He looked at everyone. Thor and Dr. Banner, I understand, as they weren't here. But the rest of the so-called Avengers are jokes, except for Colonel Rhodes and the Vision, of course. As well as the new faces. He gave them a nod. The rest of you are disgusting Captain America followers. The so-called Team Cap is nothing but villains dressing up as heroes. The Joker at least knows what he is. Hell, I'd say Harley Quinn has more good on her than you all. Shut up. Steve attacked again, but Batman early countered him and threw him away. Natasha said, I already said that, Romanoff. Aren't you a master at reading minds? Or is it just your ego talking? Natasha stumbled back. Batman sighed. Well, seeing as the ones I wanted to talk to aren't here. I'll be leaving now. Thought know this. When Tony Stark returns, you won't get to get things back to how you want, Rogers. Not if Superman, Wonder Woman, and I have anything to say about it. With that, the lights went away and Batman was gone. Holy shit, Sam said. He is as scary as they all say. Rule number 1, never mess with Batman. Scott whispered. Steve shook his head. He doesn't care what the wannabe hero wants. Steve knows who the true heroes are. And in the end, they are going to end up on top. They always do. After traveling for 4 hours on a whale's back because they weren't staying all the time on the mouth, they finally reached the Sahara. As soon as Tony and her got out of the water, she wanted to jump right in. It was too hot on here. You know desserts are hot, right? Not this much. God, how can you people on the surface handle this? We don't, actually. We feel it as much as you do. Tony then looked around and pointed to a building. We need to go there. Why? You need to blend in case we need to go to a civilian area. And I especially need for people to not recognize me. So I need clothes that people don't think of Tony Stark. Not that we are going to meet a lot of people here since no one stands this place, so is perfect. That made sense. Isn't this place close to Wakanda, by the way? Same continent, but I think Wakanda is not close to here. I am not familiar with the geography of Africa. Lucky for them, not only did a pilot agree to give them a lift, but he agreed to not tell anyone that he took them. Never been paid on pirate treasure. Thanks for the ride, mate. Tony sifted just across her. She could barely see the window. She had never been above ground. Her stomach hurt. You okay? I have never been so high up or so far from home. Well, I always got higher than this, and at least you have a home. Not anymore. I betrayed everything when I saved you from the Colosseum. Even my own father won't accept me. But you're royalty. So was your mother. Yeah, but your father can't. I don't know. Father is more loyal to his country than anything. He's not a bad father by any mean. He's just, well, he was never the same since mother died. Besides, Atlantis is many beautiful things, but forgiving is not. Not even the fact that I used to be engaged to Orm would do nothing. Wait, you were engaged to Orm? None of us wanted to marry. We've been friends since we were kids, but not once had we felt feelings like that. It was a political marriage. Well, no, you don't have to marry a man that you don't love. My obligation isn't to love. Sure, I'll love to find someone that I like to be with, but my people and nation have to come first. That's why I ended up betraying them. Even if it looks bad, I have to make sacrifices so they can prosper. Tony looked down. She shook her head. What was done was done. She made a promise to her mentor, and she's going to keep it. And what about you? Don't you have a home in the surface? Not anymore. Ever since I chose to disappear after Siberia, I know I can't return, nor I want to. Why's that? Who would I come back to? My best friend is paralyzed and likely hates me for it. I am in not good terms with my ex-girlfriend. Vision is traumatized, and I won't be able to help him. Thor and Bruce have been missing for more than a year, and I can't go back to the kid after leading him to that battle. Then, there's Rogers and the others that betrayed me, and now I can see they were never nice to me. Treated me more like a banker than anything. The only one left is the one you met, Sharon, but she's facing her own issue. Your father died before Maria was brought back to Orvax, right? Yep. So we are basically the same, two Atlantean nobles without home, trying to save our people. Seems like my mother isn't our only connection anymore. Good to have a friend, especially one that there is no need to hide what I am. If you trusted your friends, why not tell them? It was Mom's last wish, told me to hide it the night she left and never returned. Sharon's family and she and Aunt Peggy always knew. They helped me with Volko after my father died, and Mom, well, you know, and this Peggy died a month ago. She helped me a lot during my childhood. No siblings, no, you, older sister. She turned criminal and was stripped of her status and locked for life. Oh, yep. So, what was the deal with your ex-team? Why did most of them go rogue? There were these documents called the Accords, made to make sure we didn't go overboard in our fights, not entering a country without permission, give us some control. That seems like a good idea. In Atlantis, there are rules that make sure those on power are held accountable. That's why Orm needs the support of the Four Kingdoms to truly wage war at the surface. If he did just know, a council would find him guilty for abusing power. I thought they were great as well, but our great leader, Steve Rogers, couldn't handle being told no, so he reveled and brought the rest of the crew with him. To Rogers, he always has to be the one in command, the one that has the final word over anyone. And what they attacked civilians because of their rebellion. Not exactly. Roger's old friend Barnes appeared. He was brainwashed by Hydra to commit many crimes, so people wanted to bring him in. Roger couldn't have that. So he attacked everyone that came in his way, including me. And what made you snap on Siberia? That made you decide that you were done with the asshole. Tony looked down at that. She might have overstepped. Sorry, you don't have to tell me. Nah, it's okay. In the bunker I found that Roger's friend was the killer of my father, as well as the one that made my mother so weak that Orvax found her. I was aware that Barnes was brainwashed, but Rogers, he knew. For 2 years, he hid that from me. So after he beated me down, I decided that enough is enough. Mara couldn't believe someone was that disgusting. How could he hide the fate of the parents from their son? And then beat him up because he was mad? If it serves for anything, I think you did the right thing. Asshole doesn't deserve you. He smiled at her. Thanks, Mara. She smiled back. You're welcome. Meanwhile, on the Pacific Ocean. Your Highness. Captain Merk, Orm's trusted commander, said, the trackers puts Princess Mara here. On the Deserter Kingdom. Orm looked at the map and nodded calmly. Nearest, on the other hand, was anything but calm. You said she was dead. There was relief on his voice. He already lost most of his family. Mara was all that remained. Apparently not. And does your father still live as well? Not for long. Captain Merk. Assemble a strike force immediately. Kill the two of them at sight. No, Nearest yelled. Mara is to be arrested and safely returned to me. She betrayed the throne. She's the daughter of Zebel, my daughter. If any harm comes to her, our alliance is over, and you can say goodbye to your precious war. Orm looked like he wanted to argue more, but Volko stopped him. Your Majesty, we are about to reach the waters of the Fisherman Kingdom. Securing the alliance of the other two kingdoms should be a top priority. Orm looked at him and nodded slowly. My visor is correct, as usual. Arrest them, and bring both Mara and Tony back here, alive. And the Princess of Zebel must not be harmed. Nearest nodded in approval, but with hesitation, with how far Orm is willing to go. He is having doubts on following the young king on this. But if kept you unchecked, how far is he willing to go? Mara's bracelet started beeping. We're here. Hey, is there anything nearby? Nothing but desert for thousands of miles, mate. Nothing but desert. He's wrong. She opened the door and jumped. Mara wait, but it was too late. She jumped. What? She didn't have a parachute. Tony looked at the pilot. Redheads. Gotta love them. Tony jumped after her. Woo. The two crashed into the sand, rolling down safely through the dunes. Man, I didn't know you were crazy. Also, you got sand all over your face. Mara spitted the sand. This way, and walked with the little dignity she had left after her jump. Tony and Mara had walked for miles in the desert. Nothing. Tony was already getting tired. Are you sure we are in the right place? Yes, this is where the Deserter Kingdom lived before the ocean dried up, killing them. Oh, that's comforting. We are getting close now. Close to what? Look around, Coral. We are lost. Coral? I have tendency of calling people nickname. With that hair of yours, it reminded me of a coral. Though, gotta admit, you give redheads a new definition. Anyway, you are the ones that called this wasteland at home. This isn't my home. The surface is a much better place. Sometimes, okay, Orm is right about one thing. There are dickheads running around and making things worse, but there are many wonderful things as well. If you were trying to tell me not to judge a place before I know it, I remind you did that with Atlantis as well. Point taken. Let's just keep looking. Okay then. So we need to find dead bodies. Nice. Let's look for a sandhole, swallowed Tony. You founded it. Great. Mara jumped in. Somehow the tunnel ended up throwing them into slide that almost made them fall to a cliff. Look at this. This is badass. Not as much as that slide though. That slide was horrible. But yeah. This is King Atlan's forge, where the trident was made. The legends are true. They aren't legends anymore. Mara looked up and saw it. The mold of the trident. Volko was right. Tony looked around. Wow, what is that? Giant lizard thing drawn into the walls. That must be the monster that followed King Atlan. Wow, that's huge. Yep, only the one true king can talk and get his aid. Look, it looks like you placed the map there. Mara rushed and placed the map and... Nothing. Of course nothing. It's being sitting here collecting dust before the Sahara was a desert. That's it. You're right, huh? She smiled at him. We need water to make it work, and you are the closest source. So Mara grabbed some of his sweat and placed it on the map. King Atlan appeared. In this trident lies the location of the trident. As in the hands of the worst people, it can bring calamity to the world. Only the one true king can wield it and control the 7 seas. Journey toward this land, find the third piece, and go to the Forbidden Sea, where the trident waits for the king. So, the map was divided in 3. Great. We can't let Orm find this. She destroyed the first part. Wait, shouldn't we have written it first? I memorized it, didn't you? Of course. What did it say? Something trident. The mechanism move, revealing their next location. They grabbed hands without noticing. Both of them blushed at that. Tony grabbed the second map. I know where we need to go. United States, location classified. Sharon parked her car outside a local restaurant and walked with Yelena to a table. They sat down, ordered some drinks and a meal, and waited. So who exactly we are going to meet? An old friend of Tony and I, and considering our status as fugitives, you from the government and I from the Red Room, are you sure we can trust them? He's trusty. Hell, to most of the world, he's actually dead. What the? Long story. Well, if you say so. Besides, Dreykov did the same thing. Yelena clapped once the meal arrived. I can't believe he's still alive. Romanov and Barton Barley made it out of Budapest, and they don't stop talking about that. Yeah, well now you know, Natalia isn't the smartest person around. If she didn't even check the body, trust me, I know that, with her stunt at the info dump. Trust me, the person we are going to meet isn't a fan of Romanov at all. Good. It's not that I hate her, just, I thought she actually cared for me. But she leaves and never tries to find if I am alive. From Alexei and Melina, I expected that. From her, hey, after she fucked up with the info dump, she gave the Senate the little friend and let my cousin deal with the mess. She always did that to him. To everyone, apparently. You really do love your cousin. Well, one of the few family I have left. He was my best friend growing up. As most of my family didn't approve of me following our aunt's footsteps, he didn't mind, and well, we spent so much time together. Hell, I came out as a lesbian to him before my parents. So you truly have a family? Nice. Family means everything to us, Ms. Belova, a new voice said. And trust me that I have no love for a person that almost broke it. www, YouTube, com watch, BCB9FCPBX5 I'm sorry, I couldn't resist adding this music here. A man came to the table and sat down beside Sharon. Yelena, meet Phil Coulson, the new director of SHIELD. Phil took off his sunglasses and smiled. Never knew Natasha had a sister. If she had told us, we would have searched. It's not like she cared, true. I see now that I should have done more to tone down her selfishness and ego. But she'll soon be unable to keep running. Now we need to act. We got an invasion from underwater coming, and we need to dismantle the Red Room once and for all. Now, if you would buckle up. Buckle up, yeah. Suddenly, the table started going down a tunnel. Wow, this is so cool. Yelena laughed. Damn it, Phil. Impressive. I got some very impressive scientists and engineers on my team. He smirked. We do the best that we can. They soon ended up on the new SHIELD headquarters, where a group of men and women waited for them. Everyone, this is my team. Melinda May, Daisy Johnson, Leo Fitz, Gemma Simmons, and Alfonso Mackenzie. Now let's get to work. Everyone nodded and walked forward. Hang in there, Tony. We are doing everything we can from here. Sharon mumbled before joining the others. As they reached the waters of the Fisherman Kingdom, Orm signaled to Merc to come in private. Captain, how is the task force assemble? I got the best men ready to go hunt down the half-breed and the traitor, sir. Good. Because I have orders for you. What is it, my king? I want you to kill them. What? But my lord, King Nira said. I know what Nira said, but I don't care. You know how dangerous Mara can be, and my brother. I don't want any risks. I want both of them dead. But if Princess Mara dies, then King Neris will end the alliance. The war will never happen. I know that, Captain. That's why I have a plan to not only get rid of those two, but to get Neris even more angered at the surface. I want you to go back to the Hydra pirate that we worked for the last time and deliver him this. Orm brought a big case with him. My king, is that the new armor? It is. He'll need it if he wants to combat the Iron Man suit. Though Orm knows that even this, Iron Man is superior. After fighting him, Orm has had some thoughts of what if Tony sided with them. The technology they would have would be immensely powerful. The surface would go down even quicker. If he didn't pose a threat to his status as king and hated the surface with passion, he would have liked this to happen. Hell, if he developed feelings for Mara, which from what he saw it is kind of happening, he would have canceled the engagement and let them be. He doesn't feel like that for her anyway. But Tony is not like that. He poses a severe threat to his ruling and his war, so he must be eliminated. Same with the princess turned traitor who at one time was his best friend. He won't relish on their deaths, perhaps he'll even mourn them a bit, but it has to be done. Here's the thing, Captain. We'll send the pirate with you. You know he wants revenge. Now you and your man may hurt them, but you cannot kill the targets. It has to be him, the one that delivers the fatal blows to the two of them. We then can disguise Mara's death as if it was under the hands of a surface trawlers, and turns his rage even more at them. Do you think he'll fall for that? Neris might look tough, but do not forget, he is also a broken man. His wife died on the war with the Wakandians. His eldest is a convicted criminal. Imagine how he would feel if his last remaining family turned out dead by the surface. I'll have all of his power at my disposal. Merc didn't hesitate to follow his king's orders. As you wish, my king. Good. Report to me when they are dead. If I don't hear from you, I'll assume they got away. I know the dangers Princess Mara poses, but is a half-breed really that dangerous? Orm couldn't help but laugh. Oh, Captain, know this. From what I got on my research, every one person that underestimates Tony Stark either ends up being dead or wishes they did. Your Highness, the tracker puts Princess Mara here, on the Deserter Kingdom. You said she was dead? Neris asked. Apparently not, and is your brother alive as well? Not for long, Captain Merc. Assemble a strike force. No, Mara is to be brought safe to me. She betrayed the throne. She is the daughter of Zebel. If any harm beholds her, our alliance is over. Volko then came in. Your Highness, we are entering the waters of the Fisherman Kingdom. Securing the alliance of the other two kingdoms should be our priority. Orm looked at Volko. He nodded. Volko is right, as always. Arrest Mara and bring back King Neris' daughter, unharmed. David watched as the Atlanteans came to his island. It was one of the last Hydra bases in the world, very well hidden. At least for the surface. Merc came in and showed Orm in the hollow screen. Your surface weapons failed you, ours won't. David walked to the box. He opened it to see the armor and weapons. What you see is the newest prototype for Atlantean war armor. Merc explained. Revenge is a concept that we understand very well. Orm said. David nodded. He then took the gun and shoot it. It destroyed a nearby mountain. The crown jewel converts water into plasma cannons. David liked that. Listen, the one you seek has fled to the surface. I can't not touch them, but you can. You will lead my finest commandos, kill him and the woman he's with. Succeed and both you and your organization will be rewarded. What is it for Hydra? Although to be honest, David really doesn't care about Hydra right now. If you kill them, not only would I spare Hydra, but I will take care of bringing those heroes down. He knew Orm won't spare Hydra, but seeing the Avengers fall would be nice. And what is it for me? Orm smiled. Revenge? Good, that's what he wants. So David modified the suit to make it feed a human more. If Iron Man defeated him in his own game, he will defeat him in his own now. For you, Dad? David tried to start firing the lasers, but... oh shit. He quickly ducked down before it hit him. Damn, gonna need a bigger helmet. Meanwhile, at the Fisherman Kingdom, King Nereus. I thought we had grown past the idea that war with the surface is inevitable. It is the position of the fishermen that when the time come to show ourselves to the surface is to educate them, not attack them. Orm smiled, stupid fisherman. I admire your aspirations, King Riku, but I am afraid they are the aspirations of a coward. How dare you? Please, your kingdom of philosophers is nothing, so please join me. Do not make this harder than it needs to be. King Riku went to attack him, but Orm took him out fast. Gah, my king, his wife screamed. Dad, the king is dead, long live his heir. Orm turned to the princess, who was terrified. Princess, or should I say queen, gather your troops. We move against the Brine Kingdom at dawn. Vulko looked in horror. Come on, you two, time's running out. After finding out the truth of Atlantis, the Avengers had to get moving. Tony always said that an invasion was coming. Rhodey bet he didn't expect for it to come from underwater. Tony, where are you? Give me a sign. Rhodey, we need to go to debrief. I'm coming, Carol. Rhodey then stood up. Today, the Avengers will hold a meeting with the UN to see what the hell they do now. Thor and Bruce couldn't help for now. They had the Asgardian refugees to deal with. The Norwegian government chose to help them. Not to mention the political reasons why Thor was unable to get involved. He didn't know what history both nations had, but he has no position to question him. So Rhodey was still stuck with his same team before the compound's destruction. The only change was the addition of Steven, who they truly needed. Still, one member won't help against Atlantis, who, Thor said, are as strong as Asgardian. The nobles are especially deadly. They can breath both air and water, so that advantage is lost. Also, some of them do have extra abilities, communicating with the sea creatures, hydrokinesis. Not to mention that legends say they have a monster on their command. Rhodey told the UN panel the information Thor had given them. Great, so they were naturally enhanced, and the nobles were even beyond that, and they have a monster to top things. So today, the Avengers will hold a meeting with the UN to see what the hell they do now. The mission was clear. Stop more attacks for the Atlanteans no matter what. What methods they would use was in discussion. Rogers, of course, argued that fighting was the only way, and no peaceful solution was possible. No one but Romanoff and Maximoff blindly supported him. Wilson, Barton, Lang, they were making it clear they wanted nothing to do with Rogers and his crazy plans. Barnes doesn't talk, but he doesn't support him either. Still, Rogers keeps saying that he'll find a way to get things back to the way it was. He's a man that is losing the life of his dreams, and is willing to do anything to get it back. No matter who ends up getting screwed over, Rhodey was scared of what he could do to make that happen. So, 6 hours ago, the last of this mega tsunami hit the coast of Vancouver, Canada, making it the 13th city to be attacked. We need to decide what to attack. The lead councilman said. We fight, Roger said. No, you fool. We need to try to talk to them, see what they want. Hope said. Every time someone tries to stop a war before it starts, innocent people die. Most of the room looked at him like he was crazy. He probably is. That's the biggest bullshit I have ever heard. Hope told him. Still, they already attacked. It's not like the war hasn't started. Carol said. Actually, Thor told me to take the tsunamis as warnings. If the Atlanteans really wanted to attack, we could expect something much worse. That made the room go quiet. So, those tsunamis, the deaths that they have caused, it's just a warning to them. I am afraid so. The situation was real. People that they thought were just a fantasy were now declaring war at them, and they deadly serious about it. That's why we need to fight them. We need to attack them. Rogers tried to get people to his side. It's not that easy, Rogers. It's not like they are Hydra. They are not normal humans. Thor told us, remember, the normal soldiers are as strong as a super soldier. Their only disadvantage is that, opposite to us, they can't breath air. But then come the nobles, their leaders. They don't have that weakness. They are much stronger than the soldiers. Add to the fact that some of them have extra abilities. This are not opponents we can just charge at Rogers. Rogers looked down, probably thinking that he can defeat them with his strength. So we are facing natural enhanced. And then there's a chance that they are double enhanced. Lang said. That's so confusing. We need a way to counter them, Carol said. I will not take away the chance of ending this diplomatically, but there is a chance they are not interested in that. Maybe we can help. It was Princess Shuri, the representative of Wakanda. Wakanda was having problems re-entering the world, so she was probably trying to get some good reputation for her country. It didn't go well for the neighboring Wakandian countries, that they had a neighbor that was so powerful and could have helped them, but didn't. But the younger royals themselves were also respected. It wasn't their choice on how Wakanda was ruled. If anything, once T'Challa rose to the throne, he opened the borders and started sending aid. Rhodey doesn't think they should pay for what their forefathers did. It also helps that they are still grieving their father. If the Atlanteans surpass us in strength, maybe we can beat them by having better technology. That might be a good idea. That might work, Princess Shuri, especially with Mr. Stark still missing. The council glared at Rogers at that. We do need to outfit the Avengers for the battle. Colonel, is there any sign of Mr. Stark? No reports, no witnesses, nothing. Soon, it was decided that the Avengers would go to Wakanda to get technology to fight the Atlanteans. Princess Shuri didn't offer Wakanda's help with its own personal. Rhodey wouldn't be surprised if they had anything that made them unable to fight like Asgard does. He'll just have to wait and see. That's pretty much all he can do now, apparently. Stephen had been prepared for many threats by the Ancient One, and later Wong, before he fully took the Sorcerer Supreme mantle. He was tired. First he was planning his wedding, finally getting with the woman he has loved since forever, to now this. He knew a lot, and he had to keep a lot from everyone, even Christine, who he let in more than the others. The truth is, Stephen knew of Atlantis way before Thor revealed its existence. The Ancient One had revealed them to him shortly before her death. She told him to keep a track at them, but don't threaten them unless it was absolutely necessary. So Stephen had done just that. He had looked ahead to this moment when they were supposed to fight this people, and have found out the clue, Tony Stark. He knew the truth about the man, the half-breed Atlantean, hiding it from almost everyone. Among those who knew, only Sharon Carter was still alive. He knows of how an Atlantean princess approached the man before the tsunamis attacked, how she and an old mentor of Stark want him to rise to the throne. And yes, Stephen knows of Stark's relationship with the current king. He knows of their duel that almost resulted in Stark's death, before the princess turned against the king and saved him. He knows of the journey the two are on right now. And it is of great importance that they aren't interfered on their journey, which is why Stephen has to keep this to himself until the time is right. If Rhodes learns of it, he'll try to find his best friend. If Rogers were to learn, well, he'd rather not think about that. The man would screw everything over. Rogers is a danger that on one hand can very easily be contained. On the other hand, it is dangerous how far he is willing to go to get what he wants. But that didn't matter at the moment. Rogers was deluding himself that he can get out there and be the biggest hero, and Stephen is willing to let him do that because it will make him steer clear of Stark's path, and the man must finish his mission. He has to. The world literally depended on it. After finding the second part, Tony just put the suit on, grabbed Mara, and flew out of the cave to the beach. Mara did scream when she was in the air. Tony had to fly low, both for her sake and to not be detected. He still wants to be left alone, even if the red head he carried was slowly growing into him. He landed just at the side of the ocean. Mara immediately threw up. How do you fly that fast without getting dizzy? You get used to it. Well, warn me next time. Sure, Coral. Are you gonna call me Coral all the time? I like nicknames. You should hear all the ones that I gave my friends. Something tells me I should be grateful that Coral is mine. Yep, they had to change into Atlantean clothes. Well, Mara changed to her green scale suit. He just took the shirt off and used the pants he always uses when diving. Lucky for them, one of the things Tony brought was a completely waterproof bag to store their dry clothes. They need them for the place the map had pointed to, Sicily. It used to be one of his mother's favorite places to visit. It's going to be nostalgic, but also painful to go there. My aunt made this using some resources she got on her last days at SHIELD. She never wanted me to be without any stuff when I traveled. SHIELD has been under Atlantis' radar as a not-so-good thing. Orm wanted his war earlier, but later they disappeared. The organization was filled with manipulative bastards that want to control more than anything. No way Hydra got inside them so easily, though there were good people among them. They are the ones seeking to rebuild the organization as it was meant to be. So what are we catching a ride this time? Don't get me on another whale's mouth, please. Let's see. Well, would you look at that? There are some orcas nearby. What about we ask them? Perfect. The orca pod swam close to them. Tony spoke to them and they agreed to take them close to Sicily. Mara was happy to ride on the orca's back instead of a whale's mouth. As they made their way, he initiated a conversation. You know, this were the first animals I really spoke with. Orcas? Yes. Well, the first was a shark in an aquarium, saved me, Sharon, from some bullies. Okay, more save her than me. My little cousin has always gotten herself into trouble. I didn't know that I could speak with them back then. It was when I met an orca pod back in California that I learned what I could do. Wow, this have always been my favorite animal. Really? Before my mother died, she took me near the surface to see them. I have always liked to do that. How did your mother? Sorry I overstepped. It's fine. You told me your secret. I tell you mine. She died in the war with Wakanda. The relationship between Zebel and Atlantis was completely damaged after that, as Zebel wanted to pull of the war and reach peace, but Orvax wanted to keep going. She was killed by a stray blast. It was her death that made my father stop all efforts against Wakanda. Orvax wasn't happy with that, but with no other troops, he accepted to reach a peaceful solution. Orm managed to fix the relationship with Zebel, but my father has never fully trusted him. Though he wants this war too. Never took my brother as a politic. Speak first, one of the few things he still has from Maria. Wish he got that. That didn't only mean for Atlantis, but the surface as well. How did you met my mother? My father took me to a peace meeting with Orvax. Orm didn't leave his father's side. Maria noticed me being miserable, so with my father's permission, she took me away. My father didn't like Orvax, but he respected Maria. She took me to the place where my mother and I saw the orcas. It was there, where she told me about you. Mom always had that effect on people. She must have seen something about you that made her tell you that. I don't know, maybe she felt bad for the recently motherless child, whose older sister turned criminal. Also, you also have that effect. Nah, the others won't tell you that. Who? That asshole Rogers. I don't care what the dick thinks. I don't either, but Dad did. How was your father anyway? Cold had trouble telling me that he loved me. But recently, I have learned more of the emotions he kept concealed. Where you raised in Atlantis, you would be praised for your achievements. It would have made you a very gifted technician. Were you not the true king, of course? Brains and brawn are valued equally. Most kings have respected that, Orm included. My butler Jarvis, one of the few Mom told the truth, felt more like a father than him. If he feels like your father, he might as well be your father. You know, maybe you're right. So, are all your teammates assholes? Most of them, but Rhodey, Vision, and Peter are cool. I actually wanted to tell Rhodey the truth, but my loyalty to Mom won. Only 3 were nice. Thor and Bruce are cool too, but they disappeared before the Civil War. Wait, Thor, as the Prince of Asgard? Of course. Atlantis and Asgard are allies, you must have known about Thor. He seemed a bit exited for fighting and rash, to be honest. He was, but Point Break has changed on that regard. He still has some moments, but apologizes quickly after that. He remembered the whole incident just after Ultron came online. Thor had apologized for his actions very shortly after that, which was more than certain others that just watched. Well, he's your friend, so I'll believe your word. His brother was a dick, though. Just like mine. Please, you haven't met my sister. Actually, I kinda wish you never do. She's nothing but a prisoner now anyway. What did she do? Became a thief, stole from the wrong people, and... Well, Father got tired of giving her chances. Especially since her last heist ended up with 6 people died. She's in prison for life. Wow. Yep. By the way, how do you know of Iron Man? Volko and I came to the coastal cities to check on you. You should have seen his face when you were kidnapped. He almost had a heart attack. We wanted to look for you, but you were too far inland for us to reach. We then saw you become Iron Man and all of your adventures. Rumors of the few that ventured into the surface reached the capital and Orm. He gained respect for you. He still wants me dead. Honestly, I think he prefers not to kill you. His pride and desire for war gets in his way. And I know you don't want to kill him. He is my brother, no matter what an ass he is. And she's right, Tony didn't want to kill him. He's literally the last member of his blood family he has. It is something he wouldn't like to lose. Meanwhile, at the surface, Thor had arrived on the island Norway had given him to rebuild his home. The same island the Infinity Beer Wizard sent him and Loki to meet their father one last time. Before Hela arrived, Thor sat on that same spot, looking at the ocean. The one that is giving his former teammates so much trouble lately. Still, Thor liked looking at it. It was peaceful. I thought I'd find you here. Loki waked towards the place and sat beside him. So, did you tell anyone about me? Not yet, with the situation that they are facing right now. Besides, we have to rebuild first. Agreed. But I do wish I would have seen their faces, especially the captains. It would have been fun. I did hear about the son of Stark missing. Dr. Banner seemed pretty angered by it. So I am. I thought the captain was an honorable man, but seeing his actions, I can't say that anymore. Steve reminded Thor of his days before exile. Going from fight to fight, thinking that he could solve anything with his fists. He knew better than that now. Words could be equally, sometimes more, powerful than a fist. But seeing how the world had turned against him, had rebranded him from protector to traitor, and Steve still thought he was right, he didn't have hopes the man would change. Not unless that they hit him with something he can't recover from. Shame, Loki said. From all of your interests, he was the one I really wanted to meet. He seems like a very interesting character. You two getting along. I wouldn't be sane for not fearing that. We would do glorious things. But you have grown. Mother would be proud. She would be proud of you as well. Loki smiled lightly and looked towards the sea. It truly is a marvelous view. Thor, you are aware we can't interfere with the Atlantis issue unless they attack us. My days of violating peace treaties are long over. As it pains me to send some friends without my support, my people come first. I do believe that there is more to the situation that we know of. I agree. It would be wise to know more before we act. Well, I can't shapeshift into one. They would find me. Of course not. Asgard needs you. I am surprised how kind they are to me. Well, your policies while impersonating Odin were really liked by mostly everyone, especially the commoners. And seeing how Hela killed most of the warriors, well, they are in the majority. I don't plan to change your policies, by the way. Just then, Heimdall came behind them. Your Majesty, Your Highness, the people of Asgard are calling for their king and prince. All right, let's go. They walked towards the people. Loki, I do need you to do something for me, Thor said quietly. What is it? Remember the witch wanted Maximoff? Yes. She's a bit cocky for my liking. Can you figure something out? Loki gave a true smile at that. How mischievous can I be? As much as you want. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy this assignment a lot, brother. Back on the sea. So he thinks that preventing a war is worse than fighting one. Rogers is obsessed with being a hero. That's why he rejected the Accords, because they told him when to act. You know, if I ever meet this Rogers, I will drown him. Please do. Or I could, remove his so special gifts. You could do that. My powers allow me to manipulate any liquid, and that includes freezing it or boiling it. I can manipulate blood and other things as well, though I never use that because it is extreme. But if I manage to get the serum from his blood, well, I could make it vanish. Tony's eyes went wide. He had already considered making an anti-serum in case Rogers went on more rampages. But if Mera can do that naturally, it would save him a lot of problems. The orca Tony was riding made a noise. What is he saying? We are here. Now allow me to show me a place on the surface that is actually nice. Very well. Impress me. On the plane to Wakanda. Steve sat on his chair, watching the news. The world is terrified as becomes the 17th city is hit by this mega tsunamis. The wave was huge, and it swept everyone on the canal. I was lucky to be in a big building that was more inland. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Scientists around the world are still trying to understand how these waves are happening. There are no earthquakes in the area, so it's confusing to us why these waves are happening. And why are they happening so close to each other? Global panic is making world leader evacuate cities along the coastline. President Elise just ordered the evacuation of the entire state of Hawaii. It is Atlantis, I am telling you, Dr. Shin yelled. Not again, Dr. Shin. Steve felt petty for the poor doctor, as he was right, yet no one believed him. Steve cited, he didn't understand why they didn't just tell people of Atlantis. They won't believe us, the world is in panic right now, and telling them that a mystical city is real, they won't react as well. But if you're worried that the world won't see you, be a hero, don't worry. We will tell the world what is happening, hopefully after we either talk down O or defeat the Atlanteans. Steve wanted to argue more, but he knew it was pointless. He doesn't know where Rhodes got the idea that he should be the leader of the Avengers, but he hopes he lets go of it soon. Steve is the one and true leader of the team, no one else. One would think the world already knew that, but it seems they needed to be reminded of that. The world once again turns against the Avengers, more specifically Steve Rogers. As the world knows that Tony Stark would be able to find the cause of this waves, but all efforts to locate him have been futile. One would think that on the face of such a threat, Tony would come back to the team, but he is still licking his wounds instead of admitting defeat. Steve does wonder what would Tony think of Atlantis. He really needs to find him. This public hate was getting out of hand fast. Despite all the wrongs Tony had done, Steve still cared for him. He's part of the Avengers, of the family. Tony needs to come up with him, once Steve is given the leader title back, of course, and show the world that he is sorry, and that they are a team once more. There would have to be some restrictions, of course. Maybe he should make Tony become just the tech and financial supporter of the team, and find someone else for the suit, someone that would follow Steve's lead without question. Speaking of team, he looked at the team he was fighting with. He was disappointed that Thor and Bruce didn't join them. How selfish of them. He didn't understand why Thor could not just leave someone else to take care of rebuilding Asgard. Wanda and Natasha were the only ones talking to him that still believed in Steve. Clint was with Danvers on the pilot seat. Scott sat at one side speaking with Van Dyne. That woman called him an idiot. He demanded an apology, but Scott told him to back off. Knowing if he created a scene, Rhodes would use it against him, he did back off. For now. Speaking of the Colonel, he was talking to Spider-Man and Vision in private. The young hero was so rude to Steve, and he never took the mask off. Steve needs to know who he is when he takes command. He needs to take Tony's influence over him and model him into a true hero, just like Captain America. Bucky was far in a corner, sleeping. His best friend rarely slept, and most of the time he woke up with terrible nightmares. His heart went out for poor Bucky. Another reason why he really needs to talk to Tony. Sam was the one that hurt the most. Instead of sitting at Steve's side, supporting him, he was with Strange. The doctors was talking to him about some medical things that Steve couldn't hope to understand. Steve remembered the days that his friend followed his command without question, when he truly believed on Captain America. But Sam now questioned everything about him. He followed others and not Steve, and even started blaming Steve for the Civil War. Steve was lost on why this was happening. "We're here," Danvers called. "Familiar scenario, right, Rogers?" Rhodes said. He knew where Steve was. "How was that possible? How did you?" T'Challa himself told the UN, in order to avoid worse consequences, like people finding his vibranium. Steve felt a bit shaken. T'Challa had sold them out. Besides, you are all wearing Stark tech, sans Lang, and if you know anything about Tony, is that after Stain he made sure he could always track down his tech? Rhodes said smugly, "My king, the Avengers jet is landing at landing pad at the moment." "Thank you. I'll meet them right now." The guard nodded and left. T'Challa started walking, Okoye at his side. "It's been a long time since we have heard anything of Atlantis. They got more reason to be hidden than we do. Remember that just like us, they have some precious technology, but also they have the perk of not being entirely human. We have seen how some people treat the enhanced. Atlantis is not to be underestimated with. Baba told me stories about the war, how much both nations lost. Still, I do think there is more going on here." "Agreed. From what we know, those waves aren't attacks, just warnings. Just like I need the approval of all tribes to take a big magnitude decision, so does the king of Atlantis with its people. This probably means the king hasn't been able to get that. You know, some of them will want more than what we will give. I know that. But I will not risk the safety of Wakanda for Steve Rogers. I risked too much by giving them sanctuary. Not again." Not only that, Rogers had lied to him. He had said that Dr. Stark had been safe and just cooling off, when the man was anything but that. Now he is missing, and T'Challa is full of guilt for that. The man is a liar who only cares that he gets what he wants, not the hero he thinks he is. So if he thinks he will take his side ever again, he is sorely mistaken. As Steve went out the ramp, he went to greet the king first. He had the most experience with him, after all. It would also be good for the others to see someone, a king, that knew Steve is the true leader of the Avengers. And showing him as an ally might help the others realize that he should be on command. "T'Challa, it's good to see." Dora Milaje pointed their spears at Steve. "You won't approach the king after your betrayal. He looked at T'Challa, demanding an explanation. "You told me Mr. Stark was alright, Mr. Rogers. Then how come is he still missing?" "I will admit it was also my fault for not checking, but you lied to me. I trusted you, and now an innocent man is missing." Steve groaned. Why was everyone blaming him for that? Tony was fine. He didn't hurt him. It wasn't Steve's fault that he went missing. Before he could speak, Rhodes came to greet the king. Nat and Wanda came close. "Don't worry, Cap. Once we defeat this guys, we will find Stark and make him clear your name," Nat said. "Things will return to normal, Steve. You will see." Wanda smiled at him. "Thanks, guys. It was good to have their support. Yeah, like that ever is gonna happen." Clint mumbled. "People that lie aren't welcomed back like heroes, Steve." Sam said. "You must not have any idea the guilt King T'Challa must be feeling. He could have helped Stark." "Hell, I feel a lot of guilt. I told him to go as a friend, but never expected he would encounter the opposite. Just let it go, man. You screwed up. Accept it." But Sam just shook his head and left with Clint. Steve growled. Why was everyone leaving him? "Avengers, come in. I have many things to show you," Shuri said. "With my sister's tech, you will be able to locate the Atlanteans with no problem," T'Challa said. "Atlanteans? Why do you say that name, son?" It was Queen Ramonda. "Avengers. This is my mother. T'Challa, Shuri, don't tell me we are fighting the Atlanteans again. Again. Our nations were at war a long time ago, a war that we lost." Everyone couldn't believe it. Wakanda lost. T'Challa and Shuri, however, didn't seem that concerned, as they already knew that. "How did you lose? Our nation is the most advanced," Scott asked. "We are at the same level, Mr. Lang. Who knows how advanced they are now, but it was their soldiers, and especially their nobles, that made us fall. They are not like a natural enhanced or like the strength of the heart-shaped herb. That would describe the soldiers. The nobles are somehow above that, not to mention that some have powers. It was the power of King Atlan that sealed our fate. He could control every sea creature, from fishes to sharks to whales. And his control included a sea monster that could decimate Wakanda if we didn't surrender. Then there was another war," T'Challa spoke, "a more recent one. It was of less scale, but still deadly. Wakanda was also losing it, even thought they didn't have the monsters with them. However, it was ended abruptly when the King of Atlantis lost the support of all the other Atlantean royals, and just like in Wakanda with the tribes, he was unable to continue on. A peace treaty was reached between our nations, which is why this is all I can give you." Steve stepped forward. "Wait, are you seriously saying you will not fight alongside us?" "I will not. Unless they attack Wakanda, the Black Panther will stay out of the fight. My nation comes first. I talked it with my council, and they agreed." "You can't be serious. This is much more important." "I am deadly serious, Mr. Rogers. As king, my duty is to the people of Wakanda first. I will not risk their lives for a war that has yet to happen, just so you can prove yourself to the people that you betrayed." Steve turned red. He walked forward, only to have a spear pointed to his neck. "You will not approach the king unless he approaches you." Okoye warned. "What do you mean a war that hasn't happened? They are already attacking?" Natasha said. "The war already began. Wrong, Ms. Romanoff," Queen Ramonda said. "Those waves are just warnings that they are giving you." "Just like Thor said," Sam whispered. "Thor's warnings were proving true every time. If a true attack took place, the consequences would be much bigger than they are now. And why are they just sending warnings?" Carol asked. They seem to know a lot. Simple, Captain Danvers. Like us in Wakanda, the king need the approval of the 4 underwater kingdoms to launch an attack. This mean that he hasn't gotten them all, which means your best chance to strike is now. Rhodes nodded and took over before Steve could screw up more. Thank you for your help, King T'Challa. We appreciate it. The king nodded. Shuri, show them their ship and teach them how it works. We will take you to the coast, but you are on your own after that. Sharon was getting ready to go take down the Red Room when the door to his quarters opened. Who is it? An old man who was trying to figure what the hell is going out. It was Nick Fury. Hey, Uncle. I see you have met most of Coulson's team. There's 2 of them that had to leave for an issue, but we are sorting that out. He got the best agents. Have you seen Daisy's powers yet? Agent Johnson is indeed a very welcomed asset. Not only for her power, but for the positive influence she brought to SHIELD, and especially Coulson. She's practically his daughter. True. He sat down beside her. Any word on that cousin of yours? He is out there on the sea, right, trying to solve this shit show. An Atlantean came to get to him. She warned him of all of this, and he went with her. Did she happen to be a princess with bright red hair? Yes. How did you know? Because Tony's old mentor told me that would happen. Volko, I think, was his name. Maria had trusted her with that before her death. We can do the best we can, Sharon, but the boy is the only one that can end it. I can imagine a full war with Atlantis will be disastrous to all of us. I just hope he can manage it. He never wanted to be king, but it looks like he has no choice. I know, but I think he'll do the best, both for this world and for him. If the surface has never been able to appreciate Tony Stark, maybe the sea will. Fury patted her on the back. Well, you go and take down the Red Room. I swear I'm gonna slap Romanoff and Barton hard for not even checking for a body. He stood up. Wait, what are you gonna do? Me? Oh, something dramatic, I hope. I've been talking a lot recently with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But that is all I am gonna say about it. Mara was very surprised by Sicily. She expected it to be a disgusting human city full of greedy people, but instead, this city was very clean, and the people looked nice. See, it's not all so ugly up here. Huh, so Thor and Bruce are back. Have to visit them once this is over. Tony read the newspaper. Wait a minute, why the hell was Bruce with Thor? Was he in space all this time? Yeah. Seeing she didn't know those 2, she ignored him in favor of seeing the town. Next thing we know, Loki is actually still alive. Mara continued looking on. These fruits were beautiful, and the people were laughing. Everyone they met was extreme kind to them. A nice man offered her a flower. She looked at the others, saw that they were eating red things. Well, the surface is a new world, so new food, right? So she ate this. Hey, what? Eating this thing. Want some? Tony grabbed the rose and ate a bit. She saw a kid on a fountain and went to look at it. She didn't notice Tony choking from the rose. The girl was holding a coin in the fountain. Tony told her that people do that to get their wish made true. It's a surface thing. He coughed. I think I swallowed a spine. She decided to make the girl happy. So she used her powers to make some water dolphins jump around for her. The girl was amazed. Seems you're liking this surface, people. It would be wrong to judge a place I haven't known. He smiled at her. Wait here. As he left, she looked at him. She didn't understand why his ex-team decided to leave him. He was kind, patient, and was full of good intentions. She was comfortable telling him of her mother. She had only known him for 2 days, but it seems she knew him better than those people. Then again, they seem to be living in a delusion. If Mara ever meets Steve Rogers, she has a lot to say to him, and maybe she will drown him. The girl gave her a book. She nodded as thanks. The book was called So We Have to Go Up There. I just learned something very interesting. She gave him the book. Pinocchio, you risked our lives for something you read in a children's book. Tony looked greatly surprised. Wait, it's a book. I got it from the movie. What's a movie? So, what are we looking for? The message said a king, so we look for a king. King? Wait, all the status were of people in history, so maybe one of them was a king. So Tony started looking at the status. None of them were kings except for Romulus, first king of Rome. Tony then noticed his hand, like he could hold a... Give me the bottle where the map was. She did, although she didn't understand why. Tony placed into the statue, and there it was, their final location. There it is. What? Let me see. She went to see and noticed he was right. We did it, She slipped, and Tony caught her. Both were standing incredible close to the other. Not bad for a surface guy, right? Not bad at all. Well, let's... Bam. Sadly, their little moment was interrupted by a blast. Orm's commandos came, as well as a man in a black suit. The man to armor. What? A new prototype of Atlantean war armor. Experimental, at best. I can't believe Orm really sent it here. Yeah, that's my little brother for you. The guy in the suit came closer to him. Iron Man, you beated me in my own game. Now, let me beat you in your own. His helmet glowed red and blasted Tony. Tony was sent flying. Tony can't let the people know it's him, so he had to fight without the suit. Am I supposed to know who you are? You don't remember me? Dude, I have beat a lot of people who probably want revenge. Also with that helmet, I can't see your face. Of anything really with the suit. Hail Hydra, maybe. Close. Maybe this will jog your memory. He took out a familiar knife. Mara tried to help Tony, but the commando stopped her. I order you to stand down. Princess Mara, you have been charged with high treason. Merc, she always hated him. Too loyal to Orm that he could break the laws for him. Really, Merc? I doubt my father is going to be happy when he hears of this. Too bad he will never hear your voice again. Oh, now he's done it. Her father is not perfect, but she loves him. And this asshole just threatened him. So she wasn't going to feel any regret from what she was going to do. She quickly took Merc's sword away. What? Without any warning, she slashed his suit and kicked him away. Others tried to attack her, but she used the sword against them. She broke one's helmet. They were not highborn, so they couldn't breathe air. However, the other 3 began shooting at her, so she had to run. You're the guy from the sub, Hail Hydra, after all. Yes, but now I have Atlantean steel. He stabbed Tony. Luckily, Tony was no longer hiding his Atlantean side, so it didn't kill him. It did hurt, though. It also confirmed that Orm has really weaponized this guy. Hydra is dead. I might as well leave them. He kicked Tony away. Call me, Black Manta. With that, he shoot Tony with his red lasers, sending him crashing into an old lady's home. Tony felt bad for her. He would pay for the damages. Black Manta came down. Now time to end. Tony grabbed him and slammed him into the roof. I think I told you to not make this a habit. The old lady looked at him. Escusi, juro che succeed quasi ogni meses. She groaned. Black Manta kicked him out of her home. Good, poor old lady. How did you find me? Your lady friend has people keeping tabs on her, but don't worry. Once I'm done with you, she is next. Mara was running through the roofs, avoiding the blasts. 2 guards were following her, but Merc was nowhere to be seen. She didn't know he was following her from Bello, destroying people's homes. Tony tried to hide, but Black Manta found him and blasted the town's bell. It was falling straight to the plaza. At that moment, Tony had to make a choice. He had to reveal himself. He can't let this people die. Shit. There was no other way. So long hidden life. He might as well go live in the ocean after this. He liked it in there. So Tony activated the suit and blasted the bell away. Everyone looked at him. Then someone started clapping. People joined him. Iron Man is back. Mara got distracted seeing the suit that Merc blasted her into a building. He grabbed her by the neck. Consider yourself lucky. The pirate is the one that must kill you, so that your father truly joins my king. Enjoy living while you can, Princess Mara. You could have been part of this. You were betrothed to the great King Orm. Instead, you will go like a traitor. Just like... Gosh, you really don't know when to shut up, do you? But Mara used his monologue to break his water filter. Merc was suddenly drowning. He let go of Mara. He had to find water. Water, 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 water. He noticed a white circular thing that had water. So he quickly went to it. He slammed his head into the toilet and breathed. Mara saw the 2 remaining commandos approach her. She then saw that this bottles held liquids. Perfect. So using her powers, she created giant red spikes and impelled the commandos with them. Tony was now beating Black Manta. His suit was good, but Iron Man was more advanced and has more skill. Black Manta was struggling to fly. Tony saw his chance. He quickly charged a repulsor blast as Black Manta charged his red lasers. I'll say it one time. Get away from this world. It is too dangerous for a human. You will pay for killing my father. He charged his lasers again. Then tell him I am sorry when you meet him again. Lucky Tony was able to shoot first, blowing up the laser chargers and the repulsors. Black Manta went crashing into the ocean. He didn't come out. Tony landed and took off the suit. His body was full of cuts and burns. Mara quickly approached him. Tony, Mara, what? They are tracking you? He said as he lost consciousness. The bracelet. She quickly destroyed it. Tony, stay with me. Tony, come on. The people watched as Iron Man's friend tried to help him. The same guy that started clapping yelled, Iron Man needs our help. Come on. So the town's POP helped Mara treat Tony's wounds. Iron Man had saved them too many times. It was their turn to help him. Merc need, his head still on the toilet. He had to warn King Orm that the half-breed and traitor had escaped. But he couldn't touch his communicator, as if he got his head out of here, he would die. How the hell do I get out? Wait, what is that brown thing? Tony woke up on the bottom of the ocean. What in the world? He stood up. He had no idea where this place is. Mara. He turned around, but there was no sign of Mara. Or of anyone. Where am I? Where you will be. A sudden voice said. It was a male, and he had very big voice. But Tony saw no one. So, this is the true descendant of Atlan. Who are you? I am the one that has guarded Atlantis for a long time. Yes. You have that flare on you as well. I'm sorry, but what are you? We will meet soon. In this place, you will learn the truth of all of this questions. Suddenly, 2 giant shining blue eyes appeared in front of him. Now wake up. Tony woke up quickly. What in the world was that? He looked again and noticed he has no idea where he is. Is this another dream? Ow. Felt the pinch. Not a dream. Tony looked where he was. A boat. In the middle of the sea where there was no land in sight. And a very, very beautiful music coming from the front. What the? He was in a boat. The suit was besides him. He quickly made it retreat back to its small form and held it on his pocket. And what is this? He had algae on his wounds. It looks like they absorbed all the blood. Wow. His wounds were clear. He only had scratches and no pain. And where the hell did this boat came from? She didn't, right? He then went to the front of the boat. He saw Mara playing a flute. It was honestly beautiful. Tony didn't want to make her stop, but he had an important question. Ahem. Mara stopped playing and looked at him. Did you steal a boat? Aren't the boats on the marine not for public use? No, those belong to people. Huh. He saw Mara had a thinking look before it turned mischievous. Relax, I didn't steal it. Someone gave it to us, a man that wanted to help you. That made Tony remember that he exposed himself in Sicily. So people know I am missing. Great. No, what? The people of the town, they agreed to help you stay hidden. Nobody will tell anyone where we went. What? In their own words, you have helped them many times. It was their turn to help you. Tony was speechless. He never thought civilians would do that. Seems like being a hero has paid off. It has. Though it is bound to come out on the news. Even so, no one will tell where you are now. Not that they even know where we are heading. No surface person knows this place. Yeah, I guess there's that. Those were Orm's commandos, but the guy that lead them, he was an Atlantean. I have never seen him before. Yeah, well I have. He and his father were pirates. Worked for Hydra. I met them once when they attacked a submarine. His father died there, and he blames me for it. They chose a dangerous life, not to mention the organization they follow. It's not your fault. It doesn't feel like that to me. I had a choice. I could have saved him, and I didn't. Now, one of my mistakes has made me another enemy. And he could have hurt you. He could have killed someone. And it would be my fault. You were saving innocent from them. His father chose his fate. And you never provoked him. You never attacked him. That thing on the submarine was his own fault. He was the one that started it and paid the price. Same if anything happened in Sicily, it would have been his fault, not yours. It was the first time in his life someone openly said that he had no fault for the actions of one of his enemies. Not even Rhodey and Pepper did that. Mara was doing the impossible and surpassed them on his circle of trust. Mara gave him a small smile. She then turned serious. He is behind us now. It was way ahead that should concern us. She looked afraid. The chartered path leads to the kingdom of the trench. Tony felt cold. Those were the creatures that killed my mother. Yes, it's a place of death. No one has come out of there alive. So now he had to face his mother's real killers. At least they won't lie to him like Rogers. Could Tony really do this? He failed in the Accords issue. And here he was trying to save the world. Orm kicked his butt, and he barely defeated Black Manta. Now he must fight the trench, and he has to fight Orm again. We should turn back. We can still warn the surface, join the Avengers, and try to stop what's coming. Turn back. Look, this past weeks, I have gotten my ass kicked multiple times. My team leaves me. Rogers almost kills me. Granted, I held back and leaves me stranded. Orm destroys me. And I barely defeat Black Manta. I'm not a king, nor I'm the hero that can stop a war. I don't think I can do it. I'm not worthy. He turned to look at Mara and was surprised with what he saw. A look full of trust. You think you're not worthy because you are of two worlds. Because you have failed at some things. But that is exactly what makes you worthy. You are the bridge between the land and sea. The hero that belongs to both nations and is fighting to save them both. Orm wants his war. Rogers wants the world to see him as a hero. Those things don't make them worthy. You just want to help everyone. That is what makes you a king and a hero. I can see that now. The question is, can you? Nobody has shown Tony that kind of trust. And Tony is positive that once again he has fallen in love. This time with this princess. He was positive he loves Mara more than he loved Pepper. He didn't know she has fallen for him too. He smiled at her, wanting to enjoy this last moments before they had to fight again. The townspeople also gave me food. She handed him a bag full of fruit, bread, and ham. Oh yes, I am starving. By the way, that rose, it wasn't food, right? No, that rose was not food. And you didn't think of telling me because, well, you were enjoying it so much I didn't want to ruin your fun. Besides, I ate too, and almost chalked on a spine, mind you. Fine, I'll let it pass. Besides, that didn't taste so bad. Ha ha ha. You look so happy eating it, I didn't want to ruin your fun. Bruce sat down on a chair beside his hut at New Asgard, tired of all the work. Man, Loki wasn't kidding. Some Asgardians are too dumb. Yeah, one of the reasons I was in no rush to return. Valkyrie walked beside him and sat down. A bottle of beer at her hand. How the hell do you drink so much? Skills? Huh, not that I complain, because I prefer you over Blondie and Lakey, but I thought you would be on your home now, seeing someone you missed during your time in Sakaar. Oh, I really have no one to return to. Bruce has no family left besides Jennifer. Perhaps he could visit her, but they have talked very little for years. Maybe she doesn't want to be with the Hulk. He and Betty were completely over. Sure, a part of Bruce will always love her, but reality is that he is over her. He has moved past that relationship. The only person he could really think of is his science bro, Tony. Alongside Thor, Tony is the best friend Bruce has, but thanks to fucking Rogers, he hasn't been seen for a long time. Meaning all of the close people Bruce has are all here. Val, Thor, and even Loki, who he is fond to now. Don't you have a little girlfriend to return to? Or have you even have one? Currently, I'm single and happy, but well, I did have Betty. She was great, but it didn't work out. It was mutual, the decision to end it. I wish her the best. Thor also mentioned you had something with that red hair that sided with the idiot. Oh no, the thing with Natasha, I thought it was real, but most likely she was just using me and Hulk. That's what I think she did. It's what she does. Gets what you want from you, and then stabs you on the back. Yeah, she didn't strike me like the trusting type. You know, just make the call, and I'll stab her on the back. For real. Don't give poor Thor a problem. More than Loki does. I also had a girlfriend back then, on my days serving Odin. Oh, a fellow warrior. Yes. She died when Odin sent us to stop Hela. I guess that is what made me vanish to Sakaar. To forget about her. I'm sorry. It's fine. It's been a long time. Like you, I am happy single, but, well, I won't complain if someone comes. She gave Bruce a little smile. And Bruce couldn't help but get lost on those beautiful eyes. He had to admit, Val beats Betty and Natasha on beauty. Well, time to get to work. Are you coming? Yes. Let's go, Val. Oh yeah, about that. Between you and I, my real name is not Valkyrie. Is Brunhilde, but I prefer for most to call me Valkyrie. Brunhilde. Just keep it between us. She winked and let Bruce alone. Damn it. He had just claimed he was happy, single. But now he is falling in love again. Orm was looking at the window. Just the brine left. And then, finally, Atlantis will rule the planet. And our home will be safe. He hasn't gotten an update from Merc. He wondered if they had caught Tony and Mara, or if they escaped. He wouldn't be surprised if they did. Then, Nereus and two guards came to him. Your Highness, there is a surface ship just above us. He turned to them, a bit shocked. A surface ship? We are way too deep. We wouldn't notice unless it was a Wakandian ship. Nereus finished him. Oh, so Wakanda was trying to stop them. Orm remembered his father's story on their war against them, how they crushed them. They were on open sea, no one's territory. There is something wrong though. Our scanners detect that it comes from them, but there are no Wakandians on it. Is it remotely piloted? No, there are people inside. Though one of them is wearing a suit, similar to the one of your brother. And Orm finally got the clue. It's the Avengers. Those surface heroes were trying to stop him, and now they hear right on his camp. Perfect. Well, looks like the surface's heroes have come for us. It would make a good message to defeat them, so the surface knows they have no chance. He grabbed his trident, ready for the battle. Get the ship close to the surface. We can use a warm-up before we reach the brine. Because Atlantis was deep under the sea, they needed to go to the ocean to find them. Are you sure it's a good idea to go in their turf? Hope asked. We have no idea where they are. We need to know where to find them. Rhodey told her. The mission is reckon only, Carol said. Shuri said not to worry, that they have worked on this ship for a long time. Nobody can penetrate it. Sam said. Rogers insisted that they made an attack on the Atlanteans, but only Romanoff and Maximoff agreed with him. He was outvoted. So our plan is to find where they are located. You know, the ocean is a very bog place. They could be anywhere. And what are we going to do about the depth? Steven asked. We will send some probes that will search for any sign of human life. To not confuse them with animals, we will only go to the ship so that we can make sure the probes are successfully launched, Rhodey said, using his suit to launch some SI drones into the sea. Given to them by Pepper. Now let's see. Guys, turn on the news. Now, Scott said. What is it? Another tsunami? No. It's Stark. He's been spotted at Sicily. That made everyone freeze. Tony had been found in Sicily. What the hell was he doing in there? Is he okay? Rhodey asked, worried about his best friend. So we have confirmation that Tony Stark was seen here on Sicily, fighting a mysterious man in a suit, confirmed to be affiliated with Hydra by eyewitness. However, after the altercation, Stark has once again vanished from view, alongside the unidentified female companion he came with. We have tried to ask the locals about the whereabouts of Iron Man, but all of them have declined to talk, citing solidarity with their hero. I ain't telling anything, a man yelled. For what? So that Captain America can almost kill him again. Iron Man is a true hero. If he wants a break, then give the man a break. Iron Man and his friend saved me, a girl said. Now is my turn to save him from those evil Rouge Avengers. I only like him and Thor anyway. Behind her, the people of Sicily standed united, chanting pro-Iron Man chants. Meanwhile, the Avengers watched in shock. How the hell did he get to Sicily from Siberia? Clint asked. There was no sign on radar. He didn't do it with the suit. Carol said. Could he have taken a flight? Sam asked. No, there are no records of he being on the airport. There is no facial recognition that comes near him. FIRDAY is not being cooperative, Vision said. Many had assumed the AI has known where Tony is for some time and has refused to give the information. Hold on guys, I barely know Stark, but he is just a baseline human, isn't he? How the hell is he that strong without the suit? He is just an average human. There is no way Stark is that strong. There has to be a mechanical enhancement, Natasha said. Not believe what she just saw. Rhodey, any idea who the red hair is? She came with him, and she left with him, Carol asked. I have never seen her on my life, Rhodey answered. Who the hell is that woman? That hair? I've never seen a deep red like that, not a natural anyway. And she too defeated those attackers with ease. She's enchanted as well, Hope said. Why do people say they are helping Tony by not telling us where he is? Steve asked. Chances are he asked them to not tell anyone. It's like he wants no one to find him. Except the red hair, of course. Peter was just looking. Mr. Stark was alive. He didn't die in Siberia. He was still here on this world, kicking butts. But that makes Peter have many questions. Why had he stayed away? Why not tell no one where he is? Who is the red hair woman? Why did Mr. Stark trust her with his location? How did he fight that guy with no suit? How did he get to Sicily? So many questions Peter had, and he wants the answers. Steve couldn't believe this. Tony was alive, and he didn't show himself to Steve. Why? He should have gone straight to Steve to help him fix everything. Yet he was going around the world taking out Hydra and letting Steve fall from the grace of the public, turning the people against him none less. Why was he doing this? Didn't he care about his family anymore? And who was that redhead? Maybe she was the one that took Tony away from them. From him. The truth is that Steve has been noticing Tony more and more and decided he will make a good husband to Natasha. She keep him in check, or maybe even Wanda. That way they can have unlimited funds, and if he stepped out of line they can kill him and the girls could inherit his wealth. But it seems this woman is stopping that. What if she did something to Tony? Steve had to find Tony. He needs to make things back to the way it was. Things were only getting worse. Now T'Challa didn't respect Steve, was cold to him all the time. His plans to deal with the Atlanteans were ignored. He didn't understand why they didn't just attack them. They had Steve. He can win. Only Wanda and Nat listened to him. The others continually ignore him or insult him. Wanda had made it clear that she wasn't going to follow Steve in this fight. We have to do something. I know this from experience, Rhodes said. If Tony wants to remain missing, he will not be found. Besides, Sicily is so far from here, they could be anywhere now. There has to be a way to track him. The only way we could do that is Friday, and it's becoming clear she has known where Tony is all this time, and has helped him stay away. Rhodes gave a sigh and left. Any sign of Tony? He asked Nat, as they made their way to drop the first probe. If anyone could find Tony and make him return to Steve, was her. No. As soon as the red hair woman reaches to him, everyone stopped recording, and the city cameras. Sicily is not a modern city, Steve. They don't have that. Not even the shop owners. They deleted the footage. Damn it, why was Tony doing this? I expected Stark to hide after he lost. But the world is asking for him. He should be in front of every camera, but he is still missing. He asked for people to not show where he and his companion went. And that woman, there is no records of her and Stark together. I can't even get a face scan on her. Maybe she is brainwashing Tony. I don't know. She is likely enchanced, seeing how she fought. But we don't know how her skills go above that. Yeah, well, alarms started sounding. Alert, alert, ship is being boarded, ship is being boarded. Oh, shit, Sam said. Just then, the computer made a static sound, and then silence. What? What is that? Not what, who? And I think we all know who it is. Everyone thought the same. The Atlanteans, they found them. Steve grabbed his shield. It was time to end this. Everyone started getting their weapons ready. They took out all of our systems, Hope yelled. Shuri said these things were very strong, but apparently not strong enough for them, Sam said. We don't know how advanced they are, Spider-Man said. Their tech could even surpass Wakandian. Everyone was scared. The fight was coming now. Steve knew he had to take command. It doesn't matter. We need to fight. It's time to end this. No, we are at their territory. We need to evacuate. Rhodes said. You want to flee? Steve couldn't believe it. Rogers, if any of us falls in the ocean, we are over. If they sink the ship, we are over. There is too much against us to fight them. We can defeat them. How? We fight. That's not a plan, you moron! Hope screamed. Okay, let's take a vote. Who thinks we need to fight them? Only Steve, Nat, and Wanda raised their hand. Who wants to retreat? Everyone else raised their hands. So we have a winner idea? We need to carry everyone? Steven, can you make a portal? Of course, Rhodey, give me a sec. An explosion broke the wall, revealing the deck. Steven was thrown to the wall and knocked out. Stephen, people with white armors jumped out of the ocean and began walking towards them. Some had red and bigger armors. Then a man came with no armor. He was wearing a purple and silver scale suit, with a helmet that had 2 bright red spots for the eyes. He has a big silver trident on his hands. The heroes of the surface, we finally meet. I am King Orm of Atlantis. I have heard so much of you, how you disgraced your world. Steve gripped his fists. The idea of fleeing was over. A fight is now the only way, and Steve is sure they're gonna win. I have to thank you. Instead of pursuing you, you came to me. It will make my plans go faster. What do you want? Steve yelled. Captain America. Yes, even down below we heard about the hero that betrayed his country, his people. How he hurt his teammates, just because he had to be right. Steve felt rage inside him. And now, you will only be able to watch as your world crumbles under the might of Atlantis. That was enough. Steve rushed to the man and attacked him. But Orm was able to counter him. No matter, Steve was a hero. He was going to win. Wanda stood beside him, her hands glowing red. Wanda, now! Steve yelled. Wanda charged her power, but... Wanda yelled, dropping to the floor. A man with red hair came beside her and placed a color on her. My daughter used to have magical powers before she turned on her sister and went rouge. This contained her. It will contain you. He sneered. Wanda! Steve yelled before getting kicked by Orm. Come on, fight! Steve tried to hit him again, but Orm easily dodged. Rhodes and Danvers tried to fly, but the people in the red suits catch them with some kind of whip. They tried to shoot them, but they dodged them. The white suit soldiers started fighting the others. Everyone fought hard. Steve was having a hard time with Orm. He threw punch after punch, but Orm managed to dodge and counter. Ha 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 ha. It's this the great Captain America. What a joke. Orm kicked Steve and sent him flying. Sam flew straight for Orm, while Clint shot arrows at him. But Orm saw Sam approach him. He jumped in the air and shattered Sam's wings with his trident. Clint was then grabbed from behind by some guards. Fuck. Nat tried to sneak up on Orm and do her move, but he saw her and did nothing. Orm was too much for Natasha. She tried to use her leg move, but she was stuck halfway there. What the? You are pathetic. Orm grabbed her leg and slammed her into the floor. Steve saw how the others were doing. Van Dyne was already defeated, knocked out on the floor beside Strange. He saw Scott receive hit after hit. Unable to shrink himself, he fell soon enough. Rhodes, Danvers, Spider-Man, and Bucky were the only ones still fighting. Orm started to laugh. So this are the heroes of the surface. What a joke. Steve screamed in anger and charged at Orm with his shield. He tried to tackle him, but he just jumped into the ocean. Steve looked at the surface. Where are you, you coward? Right here. Orm jumped from the water, raising his trident to hit Steve. Steve raised his shield, knowing it would protect him. But when his trident hit Steve's shield, bam. Steve's shield shattered upon impact. He stumbled back in shock. No, this is impossible. You are nothing without that pathetic frisbee. Orm proceeded to beat up Steve. He was too strong. Steve couldn't defend himself. Steve. Bucky came to help him. With both of the united, they would defeat them. But Orm grabbed Bucky by his metal arm and broke it with his trident. Bucky screamed in pain. Rhodes and Danvers were dragged to the sea and defeated. Rhodes had his suit disabled, and Danvers had a collar that surpassed her powers. Strange, Wanda, and even Vision had the same collars. Spider-Man kept fighting, but he was the last one standing. He got swarmed by the soldiers, and they started to beat him up. Steve tried to stand up once again, but Orm held him at bay with his foot. It didn't seem real. They lost. It can't be. My king, should we kill them? A guard asked. Wait, don't kill them. Steve tried to stand up, but Orm just grabbed him. Orm threw Steve to the floor. He put his feet on his chest and pressed hard. Steve screamed in pain. How were they so strong? How could they surpass his strength? Orm then threw him to where the team was corralled, just as predicted. You are nothing. And now that my brother isn't with you, you got no hope. Then again, after what you did to him, why would he help you? His brother, what is he talking about? They don't know his brother. What have we done to your brother? Sam asked. Orm stood there and started laughing. So he never told you. His so-called team, the one he defended the surface with, and he never once talked to you about his true heritage, about the truth of our mother. Though seeing how the so-called Civil War ended, I can't say I blame him. He's better off with Mara. At least she is clear on who she supports. He said that last part bitterly. Who is he talking about? What are you saying? Who is your brother? Steve asked with gritted teeth. Orm glared at all of them. Tony Stark is my brother. Everyone stood quiet after that. You are Stark too, Wanda yelled. No, we share the same mother, but different fathers. That can't be true. Tony was human. There is no way he is an Atlantean. You're lying. Stark is human. Nat said. There is no way that he hid something that big so well. Show them the records of the Ring of Fire. They clearly saw Tony fighting Orm, swimming in the depths of the ocean with no oxygen, like it was normal. No one spoke as reality settled in. So it was true. Tony was an Atlantean. How could he hide this from them? He hid what he truly was from the team all this time. He got mad at Steve for keeping secrets when he kept something like this. How could Tony hide this? Orm putted his foot on his chest again. Steve tried not to scream, but he failed. Because that had nothing to do with you. I'll give my brother that he protected Atlantis. You, on the other hand, you hid what happened to our mother. Bucky dropped his head. Orm let Steve go. Ha ha ha. And you think you defeated my brother on Siberia? He held back. If he didn't, well, he would have spared you from this. No, that is not true. Face it, Captain America. You are nothing but a failure. You destroyed everything you loved, and now, I'll finish the job for you. Orm dropped the handle of his trident on Steve. His world went black. Rhodey watched as Rogers dropped unconscious. They were defeated, but even defeat couldn't get to him. Tony was Atlantean. His best friend for years was not human, and he never told anyone. Tony didn't trust them. He thought back to all those days he suddenly disappeared from the coast. Sharon went with him sometime, so most likely she knew. Jarvis probably knew as well, and since she's been helping him, so does Friday. But the rest? They had no idea. Not even Pepper, Happy, or him. Get some suits and fill the filters with air. We are bringing them with us, so that they can see how their precious world fall. He saw how some guards grabbed them and forced white suits on them. He might be sad that Tony didn't tell him what he was, but he can understand why he did it. A secret like that? Who knows how anyone would react? But now, their boat was crushing through stormy weather. The waves were very high, and they were struggling to keep the boat steady. That's not what worries Mara. They can easily survive this underwater. It's the creatures that are below that worry her. The trench, one said to be among the kingdoms of Atlantis, but were driven mad by the ocean, and while others evolved, they went backwards, becoming beasts that murder anyone they encounter. It was the greatest fear of any Atlantean to be sent to them, and a personal of hers after Queen Maria was sent here. She was looking at the sea to see where to dive when she saw one, a creature of the trench. Those monsters were even more terrifying in person. The creature backed her into a wall and tried to chop her head off. Tony noticed it and threw a spear at its head. She nodded her thanks at him when Thunderlight reveled something horrible. There was at least 5 on the top of the ship. What the hell are these things? The trench, we are here. Come on, inside. They got inside the cabin, but it will only protect them for so long. Tony was searching for something on the cabinets. He then took out something that made a shiny red light. The trench immediately fled from the light. They're from the depths. They are scared of light. He gave her the light. She tried to get them of the ship. One of them attacked her. She was a bit hurt on the stomach, but nothing serious. You okay? Yeah. We can stay on the ship. We have to jump. He took more of those red light makers and went to the deck. She followed him. As soon as both of them were standing at the edge of the water, they jumped. The water was swarmed by the trench. The red light was all that was keeping them from being eaten. She used her powers so that they could get some space from the trench. They soon reached the bottom of the cave they went into. They looked for an exit when she saw some light. Over there. So the two swam to the light with more and more creatures of the trench following them. Tony lost his red light, so he took out his gauntlet and started repulsing the creatures. It barely hurt them, but the light kept them away. Way suddenly, the trench let out a horrified roar and swam away. They continued to swim to the light when they realized what made the trench so afraid. A vortex. She looked for a way to the surface, but this was a closed cave. Their only way out was back where they came from, to be eaten. So either swim through the vortex or fight the trench. Not great options. That thing will tear us apart. So, will they? At least we have a bigger chance here. We really don't have a choice. She knew he was right. He held his hand for her. She took it. She wasn't gonna lose him. Call her crazy, but she loves him. Knit the fling with Orm kind of thing. But she really loves him. So the two swam to the vortex. Unfortunately, the vortex was too strong, and they lost their grip on each other. They tried to swim back to each other, Tony, Mara. But when they were close to touching fingers, the vortex separated them. Mara lost consciousness soon after. She didn't see how a monster almost ate her, and how a mysterious figure saved her. The figure brought her to the beach. She opened her eyes. She was immediately scared. This was an unknown person that garbed her out of nowhere. At least she was scared. Unit, it revealed its face. Tony was looking for Mara. He ended up somewhere near the surface, so he jumped out to see if he could find her. However, what he saw impressed him to no end. There were freaking dinosaurs flying on the air. So dinosaurs are still alive. Now what? It's Godzilla gonna turn out to be real too? He saw a beach. Mara might be there. When he arrives, he saw her, and a mysterious person in top of her. Hey, get off. Her. He saw it take its helmet P, revealing it was a woman. Her hair was familiar though. He saw Mara with an unbelievable face. Who was this woman? Tony saw this person closer and gasped. Both Mara and the woman turned to him. And then he saw her face. That face he will never forget. He knew this woman very well. He never imagined he would see her again. Ow. She's supposed to be dead. The woman made her way towards him. Tony couldn't move. He couldn't speak. The woman was just as amazed as Tony was. She spoke first. Tony, Mom. The woman in front of him was a very much alive, Maria Stark. Yes, my son, it's me. She hugged him tightly. He hugged back with tears in his eyes. His mother was alive. She was right here with him. He saw Mara look at them with a smile. Tony did cry a little. He had his mom back. His greatest wish was true. So he forgot momentarily of their troubles and just enjoyed having her back. Maria took Tony and Mara to her hideout. When Orvax expelled me here, I fought my way out like you did and ended up here. You have been here all these years? Mara asked, grunting for her injury. Yes, now sit here. She tended her wounds before she turned to her son. You must forgive me for everything. This happened because you had me. His mother just grabbed his face. No, none of this is your fault. I made a choice. I knew the risks. It killed me that I couldn't return to you. She smiled sadly. Is your father? He died on the crash where you were taken. That crash was no accident, honey. I know. Mom, there is so much I need to tell you. So Tony told his mother everything. He downfall as an alcoholic, he rise as Iron Man, New York, Sokovia, the Civil War, and his journey with Mara. He told her about Rhodey, Pepper, Jarvis, Rogers, and everyone else. The mention of what Rogers did had her furious. That is the man Howard never shut up about. If I ever meet Steve Rogers, he is going to drown. Join the club. Mara added. Tony, I am so proud of you, your actions as Iron Man. My son is a true hero. Tony smiled at her, but he had to ask something. How come you never come back? Because the portal that brought you here won't allow us to come back. The trident is our only way back. But it is guarded by King Atlan's monster. So the legends of the monster are true as well. Mara said. What is this monster? Our people call him Gojira, but the surface people have another name for him. Godzilla. Godzilla. You gotta be kidding me, he's real? Tony shivered a little. He has faced a lot of things, but freaking Godzilla. Maria looked at her son. You're afraid? Tony nodded at her. Yes, good. You're ready. Mara walked close to him. Atlantis has always had a king. Now it needs something more. But what could be greater than a king? A hero, his mother answered. A king fights only for his nation. Orm only fights for Atlantis. Rogers only fights for himself. You fight for everyone. You're the bridge between land and sea, Tony. Let's show everyone. He looked at Mara and his mother. They both trusted him. Tony felt a surge of bravery. For the first time, he felt he could do this. He had to try for them. So he made his way to the waterfall where the Trident and Godzilla await. He looked at the two watching him. They gave him supportive smiles. Full of confidence, Tony went inside the cave. He swam to an ancient temple and saw it. The Trident still shining. But when he went to grab it, a voice stopped him. So, you have arrived. It was Godzilla? Tony thought, what would Peter think that Godzilla is real? But he had no time for that. I have guarded the Trident for centuries, and I took out many of the people that tried to take it, all of them unworthy. Arrive. You arrive. Tony made a try to get the swim, but Godzilla used his tail to knock him out. You thought yourself as king. Time to end you? He was charging his breath. Stop. Godzilla stopped charging. He looked at him curiously. You understand me? I do. I also know that you are right. I know I am not worthy. No one has talked to me ever since King Atlan. Then he chuckled. So my prediction is true. You are the next one in line. Maybe how? Wait, I heard your voice before. That attack was to make sure you weren't the wrong person. Now tell me, who are you? I'm a nobody. I am here because the world needs me to save the people that I love. I'm here to stop a war that could kill thousands. The Trident is their only way to live. When King Atlan bonded with my people, he had no selfish desire. I have seen Atlantean royals fail to each time to be like him, but you... Godzilla swam away so that he could have a clear way to the Trident. Your intentions sound noble. Let's see if they are true. Even with the ability to speak to me, the Trident can be the only judge if you are worthy. Pick it up and see if it is your destiny. And what happens if I can't lift it? Great. So Tony went to the Trident, took a deep breath and hold it. He felt a sudden surge of power. He took out the Trident of Atlan's dead hands. He was worthy. Tony felt the power of the ocean, the voices of all the animals. And he heard the voice of Atlan saying the king is finally here. A golden scale armor started appearing on Tony's body. Well then, you are worthy. Tell me, king, what's your name? I'm Tony. Very well, King Tony. The Trident is yours, as well as my loyalty. What do you want to do? Tony smiled, clenching the Trident. We need to get out of here, but I need to pick up two people first. Mara and Maria were waiting when they saw him. Tony came out with the Trident, wearing the gold scale armor of a king. The one, true king. Come on, you two. I have a way out. Godzilla roared to the surface. They were back. Just as they reached the surface, Mara got a message. It's from Volko. Tony, Mara, you have to hurry. Orm made the Sherman submit and it's on his way to the brine. And he also captured the Avengers. The Avengers? What the hell were they doing on the ocean? If Orm has the fishermen as well, we are going to need help. Tony thought about it. Then he remembered what he read on Sicily. She's right. They need backup for this. And what better backup than the God of Thunder and the Hulk? I know two people that will help us. The Trident was also telling him he had an army, but he will find out of them soon. Now he needs to go for Thor and Bruce. Bruce was helping Thor rebuild Asgard. The Norwegian government gave them a territory in the outer parts of their country and allowed them to establish Asgard there. Of course, Thor wanted to build a palace, but that will take some time. So they had log homes for everyone built. Bruce didn't stop helping until everyone had a roof to sleep outside the ship. He, Thor, Valkyrie, and Loki were all sharing a log cabin. Thor did make sure no cabins were close to the ocean due to the tsunamis. He didn't want more of his people to die. Bruce is still wrapping his head that Atlantis is real, or that they are attacking them. He was also getting grips on Steve's betrayal and Tony's disappearance. He can't believe Steve did all what he did, and still acted like he was in command, that he was right. The man was delusional, and Bruce was sure he did the right choice at refusing to join the Avengers with Steve on the team. Not to mention, he doesn't want to be anyway near Natasha. He heard on the radio that Tony was seen on Sicily, but had no internet to confirm it. Thor managed to make their own team, the Revengers. For no, that's only Thor, Valkyrie, and himself. They might only be 3, but the council said that 2 Asgardians and the Hulk were strong enough to make up an efficient team. He was taking a walk to the dock. Even with the tsunamis, they had to fish. He saw Valkyrie helping discharge some of the loads of the boats. Hey, Val. Hey, big guy. Any problems? If with problems you mean any killer waves, then no. Good. So, any news on your asshole old team? They say that they went on a mission in the African coast, but they disappeared after that. Considering the enemy comes from underwater, expect the worst. I don't care for many of them. I don't even know them. Rhodes and Vision are the only one I hope they're okay. Good. Where's Bondi? He is with Loki, finally getting TV on the town. Great. He can finally entertain himself. Let's go greet him. He might be hungry. As they made their way, a voice called him. Hello, Brucey Bear. Bruce turned and looked at a very different Tony Stark. He was wearing a gold scale armor and using a trident. There was no suit. He was wet. Did he came from the ocean? Bruce also had no idea who the 2 women that were with Tony were. One looked familiar. The other one was a complete mystery. Tony. Bruce hugged his friend. Tony returned the hug. I read you wearing quite an adventure. So, have you, by the way? Tony turned to the women he was with. Bruce. The beautiful red hair is Mara. Don't worry. She is a red hair you can trust. Unlike the spider. And this is my mother, who I just found out was alive. Maria Stark was alive. Bruce couldn't believe it. He had to present his friend as well. Tony, this is Valkyrie. She helped Thor and I return to Earth. Ah, seems you found someone else, eh, Bruce? Good. You're too good for the spider. Bruce laughed at that. But he had so many questions. I know you have a lot of questions, but I need Thor here as well. We need your help and fast. Friend Tony, you're alive? Hi, Point Break. It's good to see you. Thought you looked different. I do. I need to tell you both a lot of things. Do tell. So first thing first, I'm Atlantean. What? I asked my son to hide it. Please don't be mad at him. Ma'am, that was his secret to tell. We can't be mad at him from keeping it. Thor answered. Yeah, about that. I am also the prince. My mom's the queen and Mara's a princess. Thor immediately bowed. Relax, Point Break. No need for that. So Tony told them how he wanted to disappear after Siberia, how Mara found him to tell him about Orm, his brother. They were shocked at the fact he has a brother. How he wanted to declare war at the surface, and how he and Mara had to go on this journey and founded his mother on the way. So Atlantis is not the one that is attacking, it's your brother. That's right, Bruce. Orm has tricked my father and submitted the Fisherman Kingdom to follow him. If he defeats the brine, war is unavailable. Mara said. So someone wants to bring a nation down just for his goals, just like Rogers with the Avengers. Wait, you know about that? Friend Vision showed us everything. So you want help? We would want to help you, but we can't breathe underwater. I can help with that, brother. Loki appeared. What the hell? It's a long story, Tony. Short version. A madman brainwashed him and controlled him for the invasion New York. He is good now. Well, what would you know? You have to tell me the story after this. How can you help us, brother? I can create a spell that will make us breathe underwater, and we can use the thrusters of the escape pods to move on the water. Tony had to admit that was a good idea. Then you can count on our help. Great. So Reindeer Games do the spell now. We can plan while we get there. How would we get there so fast? Tony smiled. Well, Brucey, Godzilla will take us, and he swims fast. With everything ready, Tony got ready to depart. The time has come. We are reaching the waters of the Brine Kingdom, my king, Volko said. Orm nodded at him. It was almost time. But before, there was something he had to do. Volko, my trusted advisor, what advice do you give me as this war starts? So you stand by the throne while you betray it? I know that you trained my brother to defeat me, don't deny it. Volko stared at him seriously for some time. I do not. Orm knew it, but he had to know why. I am a pureblood. He wanted nothing to do with Atlantis. You might have been born in Atlantis, but Tony is already more of a king than you are. Orm smiled sadly. Take him, and make sure he has a view. Volko just looked at him and went with the guards with no resistance. First his childhood friend, and now his advisor. People really seem to like his brother. Then again, both Mara and Volko are soft-hearted. They aren't meant for this. Nearest came to him. The time has come. Indeed, it has. Any sign on my daughter? No. She disabled her tracker. You better have done no harm to her, Orm, or else. Yeah, I get it. How longer until we reach the brine? 5 minutes. Good. Then I'll bring the guests in so they can see everything. What is your intention with the Avengers? Under this depths, they are no threat. So I'll have them watch, and when the time finally comes to start the war with the surface. Rhodey couldn't believe this. They were all wearing this white suits. It was what kept them alive. From the crushing depths of the ocean, where no human had probably gone alone with no sub. Oh, and drowning. That too. They were in a ship, who knows how many meters underwater, with no chance of fighting or escaping. Comfortable? Orm asked as Hai came in. Rogers raised his head. He could see the faces on the suits. He had to admit that Atlantis' tech was probably better than Wakanda's, and even rivaled Tony's. Then again, considering Tony's true origin, if you think we will stand while you... Rogers said with that voice Rhodey hates so much. Orm punched him in the face. I would shut up if I was you. We are way below the surface right now, and the pressure will kill you before you drowned. That suit is what keeps you alive. Don't force me to take it. Rogers Grolwood. I wanted to see how you were looking, as the fall of the surface comes near. My king, we have reached the brine. Orm smiled. Say goodbye to the surface. Once I get the brine, your world will be over, and so will be your lives. No. Rogers struggled as guards came in and took him. How does he think he can win this? They were defeated at land. They have no chance at sea. Where are you taking us? Natasha demanded to know. To see the spectacle. Everything ready, Mara asked Tony. Yes. He patted the orca she was riding. This little guy will take good care of you. Remember, Orm must be dethroned before the Brine King either submits or is killed. And knowing him, the former is more likely to happen. Don't worry, Coral. Just get to your father, and I'll take care of my little brother. Are you ever going to stop with that? Nope. Thor, how are you guys doing? We are in position, my friend. Good. Then let's get started. He gave Mara one last look, and went to the giant monster of legend. Are you ready, King Tony? Yes. Let's get the show on the road. Remember, the Brine don't have the biggest numbers, but their armies won't go without a fight. Defeat the Brine King, and you will command the biggest military might on this planet. Neera said as Orm got his helmet. He watched as the heroes were forced to watch in a window. Today we unite the kingdoms, tomorrow we scorch the surface. He swam to the front of the ship. Rise, Atlantis. The army started charging towards the brine. Who would rather fall than submit? The crab-like beings charged back. Death to the Atlantean catfish, the Brine King said. Orm, lead the charge. We will never surrender to Atlantis. We will give them a fight that they will never forget. So the two armies collided. The Avengers watched horrified as the fight to ruin their world began. Whatever the result was, they still loose. And their time was ticking. The Atlantean sharks grabbed the brine and crushed them. The brine jumped on top of the Atlanteans and staled them. Both sides fought furiously, but the brine were soon outmatched. Orm spotted the Brine King and charged at him. Come at me, I will. Orm had a short duel with the Brine King, but he soon outmatched him and cut his hand. Gah. He was about to kill him when Neera stopped him. No, we need him. Give him the chance to surrender. Orm growled, but nodded. Join me? You expect me to call you, Your Highness? Not Your Highness. Call me Ocean Master. You might take out my army, you Atlantean scum, but you will never have our loyalty. So be it. But before Orm could end the king, a tail hit at him, sending him crashing into a ship. What? Both armies stopped as the ground started glowing blue. What the hell is happening? Carol said as they watched. Groar. Godzilla then came out of the ground and started attacking the Atlantean warships. And on top of Godzilla was Tony, using the lost trident. Tony let out a war yell. Volko saw Tony appear with a trident. He had a smile on his face. The king has risen. It's that Godzilla, Sam said. Dude, after everything, I'm not surprised Godzilla is real. Clint said. But why is he attacking the Atlanteans? Legends say he follows them. Hope said. Peter looked at Godzilla and saw something he never imagined. It's Mr. Stark. He is on top of Godzilla. He is here to save us. Everyone looked in shock, and they saw Tony clearly, in full Atlantean armor, fighting alongside Godzilla. So, it's true, Roger said slowly, but Peter paid him no attention. Peter was just happy. He knew Mr. Stark wouldn't allow the world to end. Orm growled in rage at seeing that. How had Tony found the trident or Godzilla? Why the hell were they listening to him? It didn't matter. That changes nothing. He will finish what he should have done at the Ring of Fire. Attack. His army started shooting at Godzilla, but their weapons did nothing. Alright, big guy, let's show them your power. He signaled Godzilla to swim up. The monster swam upwards as his spines glowed blue. Godzilla shot his nuclear breath at the enemies and destroyed everything. Orm's army kept charging towards him. You have an army, brother. So do I. Tony closed his eyes and held the trident and started calling them. Calling the life of the sea. The sharks in the army suddenly turned against their riders. They started attacking Orm's soldiers. And as they did that, Tony revealed his army. Thousands of sea animals. Whales, dolphins, sharks, octopuses, squids, turtles. All types of animals came to aid Tony. Swimming behind him, ready to fight. Thor, Hulk, Valkyrie, and Loki came with the animals, each riding a dolphin, except for Hulk, who rode a blue whale, going to free the Avengers and get them to the surface. I'm sorry, brother, but I'm ending this war before it starts. Tony had his army attack the soldiers. This war was not happening. Steve watched in shock. He couldn't believe that Tony was truly an Atlantean, that Orm was tricking them, created fake footage. But here he was, commanding thousands of animals. How could Tony hide this from him? How could he get angry at Steve for lying when Tony lied about what he was? Regardless, Steve and the others need to be released. They need to join the fight. He needs to come and release us. He needs us for the fight. Rogers, you do know that if the suits break, we are done. We have no use for this fight. It's on his hands. Clint said. Steve growled. He needs to show them that he can fight no matter what. A blast hit Tony, but he was able to counter it with the trident. He was forced out of Godzilla's face. 2 ships followed him, trying to take him out. He was able to counter their blasts, but not get to them. Lucky for him. Mara arrived riding an orca and used her powers to take the ships down. She got off the orca and swam to him. There are too many casualties. We have to stop the fighting now. I'll talk to my father, but you must defeat Orm now. What if I can't? Last time he was in his territory. This time, make him fight in yours. Tony still felt a bit nervous, so Mara, with the emotion running high, and just with a moment, she kissed him. Explosions sounded behind them as this happened, but for Tony, it felt as time itself had stopped. The kiss lasted for 20 good seconds. Tony felt in heaven at the moment. When they broke apart, both smiled. Ah, what was the plan again? The plan is to not get killed. Right, not get killed, good plan. As Mara left with her orca, Tony grabbed a monster seahorse and went for Orm. As he charged, he noticed that the trench had appeared, and they were following him. What the? The trench then started attacking all of those who tried to get him, making his path towards Orm clear. Every doubt he had about being worthy was gone. He had his mother back, the woman he loved him back, he had friends to save, and was holding the trident, with every sea creature following him. He was truly the king of Atlantis, and he is going to save it, to save both worlds. Mara, his mother, and everyone else won't be harmed by this war. Yeah. The fisherman queen saw the half-bred commanding the trench. The trench? He commands the trench? Impossible. King Nereus said. Orm growled. His brother won't take his tittle from him. Rhodey watched in amazement at how powerful his friend was. Well, now we know who the red hair is, Carol said. It seems that Pepper was replaced. He saw the look that Tony gave the woman before and after their kiss. Tony adores her, and she adores him back. The look of fun trust they had. It's something not even him or Pepper got. Steve also watched the kiss, feeling rage. How could Tony do this, deny his will? Steve wanted the genius to be Natasha or Wanda. He wanted him TP be controlled, but this woman came in and stole Tony from their family, from the Avengers. The Hulk suddenly came in, breathing underwater and riding a whale. Thor and their friend came right after, and the 3 took the guards out. How are you guys here? My brother gave us some water-breathing spells. Brother, Rogers asked. Hello, Captain. Pardon me, former Captain. The lady laughed at that. What the? We will talk about this later. We need to get you to the surface. What? No, release us so that we can fight. Rogers screamed. Tony needs us. Romanoff agreed. Really, he seems to be doing fine on his own, Peter added. Well, he is not alone though. He has that lady with the awesome water powers, and Godzilla. I think he'll be fine. Hulk, help me push the ship to the surface. Hulk made an agreement noise and pushed the part of the ship that held the Avengers. Rogers protested that they needed him to fight, but he was ignored. Rhodey took one last look at his best friend. Good luck, Tony. Mara left her orca and charged at the soldiers. She beat it down some, and used her powers on others. Stop, let her pass, her father screamed. Father, please, he has the trident. I know you want this war, but Tony's king by almost sacred law, and if you turn your back on that, then the Atlantis you love is already dead. Nereus considered that he had the trident, was controlling the trench and the other animals. He looked at Mara. War took away his wife. It won't take his daughter. It's true, the half-bred has the trident. He commands the sea. Nereus made his decision. This war was over. Then that half-bred is your king. Mara watched in approval as her father and the fisherman queen stopped the troops. It's up to you, Tony. Tony and Orm charged at each other. Orm had a bigger creature, but Tony had a plan. He jumped off his seahorse just in time and swam to the surface. Orm followed him. He tried to get his beast to eat him, but Tony stopped it with the trident. Tony then jumped to the wreckage of a ship, floating on the surface. Orm jumped right behind him. He had to defeat his brother once and for all. Every ship went to the surface to see the brothers fight. Nereus took off his helmet and made sure that the troops didn't interfere. After all Orm has done, he is rooting for the half-bred. Not only his actions on the surface are worthy, but he is acting like a king. Not to mention, he has stolen his daughter's heart. The fisherman queen also rooted for the half-bred. She wanted justice for her father. Even the brine king came up and watched. This half-bred seems different, in a good way. Steve and the others were on the top of the ship. They took off the suits and were just waiting there. Until Tony appeared with his brother. Tony had no suit. He had no chance of winning. It was the moment Steve realized that Tony needed him for the fight. It was Steve's time to defeat Orm. So Steve began his way to the battle, but Thor grabbed him and threw him back. Thor, what? You can't interfere on this, Rogers. You would only be an acquaintance. But Tony has no suit. He can't win the fight. He needs me to defeat his brother. Did you see what happened down there? He took out the army mostly by himself. My team and I only rescued you. Aside from Lady Mara and the King of the Monsters, he had no backup really. He is much stronger than you. But Steve, that's enough, Bucky said. Buck. Thor's right, there's nothing that we can do in here. Stark must do this alone. Steve couldn't believe it. He looked for support, but only found the one of Nat and Wanda. Are we really going to trust the fate of the world to Stark? Wanda yelled, but no one listened to her. He had to show them. He made his way quickly to try to swim to the battlefield, but the Hulk grabbed him and held him back, clearly showing no intention of letting Steve go. Stay, or Hulk makes you. Steve was forced to just watch. Volko watched as the battle was about to begin when Mara came in and took down his guards. Volko, come on. He needs our help. We can't. He must do this himself. The people must know. He is the true king. Mara went to Volko's side to watch the duel. She was worried for him, but she also believed in him. You can do this, Tony. Tony circled around the ship, water dropping on his golden trident. Orm snarled at him. That trident doesn't change what you are, half-bred bastard. Tony just stared at him. He was done letting insults get to him. Atlantis will never accept you as its king. Orm got ready. It was time. Well then, little brother, what do you say we find out? Grr. What was it that you said? Oh yeah. May the gods let known their will. Orm growled and charged at him. Their tridents collided, each one matching the other's blow. But Tony had a much easier time dodging Orm's blows, as well as countering them. Do you really expect to win a war in the surface when you fight like this? I defeated your team, I defeated the captain. They are nothing special, especially him. Tony managed to land 2 hits on Orm. He then used his trident to push Orm to the circulum deeds. Yield the throne. Orm's cape was destroyed by the blades. His armor was starting to get destroyed. Nereus looked impressed. In the short time that their last fought, Tony, he was going to call him by his name, was getting the upper hand on Orm, proving he is the king. The Avengers all watched in shock. They couldn't believe Tony was truly this strong. He was beating the guy that defeated all of them. Thor and the Revengers, on the other hand, just cheered for their friend. Mara and Volko were the only ones not impressed. They were proud. They knew of Tony's power and were glad he was finally using it. Tony still held Orm by the blades. Yield it. Orm made a move to grab Tony, but Tony noticed it and ducked before Orm's trident could grab him. He then made Orm trip and threw him to the other side of the ship. Orm landed in his back. He moaned in pain. Tony went to attacking them, hitting him 3 times before Orm managed to push him back. He landed on his feet. He saw that Orm wasn't giving up. He had to end this. He noticed all the water dropping and remembered the move Volko taught him, a move one can only master in the surface. So Tony started circling his trident. Water started spinning all around him. The water acted as a shield, while also powering up his trident. Orm growled, but then stood still. Suddenly, Godzilla rose from the water and threw his power at Tony's trident. The trident started glowing blue. As Tony kept spinning it, Orm snarled and tried to attack him, but the power of the trident was enough to send him flying back. With his trident ready, Tony threw it at Orm, causing him to lose balance and get in his knees because of the impact. With Orm distracted, Tony used his chance. He jumped and grabbed his trident in midair and swung it to Orm's trident as he used it to defend himself. Orm's trident shattered as soon as it was hit. Tony landed on his feet as Orm fell to his knees. The battle was over. Mara watched with joy as Tony defeated Orm. That's the true king she had fallen for. Volko watched proudly as his student showed his true potential. Steve couldn't believe it. Tony won, without help. Steve was completely useless. Tony made a move to strike his brother. Orm was ready to accept his fate. He lost, but Tony stopped before hitting his brother. Even after all of this, he didn't want to kill him. Yield the throne. Even if Orm already lost it. Kill me, mercy is not our way. Maybe you haven't realized, brother, but I am not one of you. No, kill me. No, there has been enough killing. Everyone looked in shock as Queen Maria appeared beside her sons. Rhodey must be dreaming. Maria Stark was alive. Besides him, he saw some of the others gasp, and James Barnes fall to his knees at seeing that. He looked at Tony's face and saw that he wasn't surprised. He probably found her on this journey he went through. How much did Rhodey really knew of Tony? Volko was in shock. She was alive. He looked at Mara. She had a knowing smile. It's a long story. I'll tell you later. Come on. Tony watched as Orm stumbled seeing their mother. Mom? Maria rushed to hug her son. I don't understand. I know. Tony saved me. Orm looked sadly at her. You're with him. You are both my sons, and I love you both. But your father misguided you. He taught you there are 2 worlds. He was wrong. The land and the sea are one. Orm looked down as footsteps came closer. Mara and Volko came in with the guards. Volko then knelt down to her. My queen. Everyone kneeled to her. Volko turned to Orm. Take him, and make sure he has a view. Orm smiled as the guards took him away. Tony turned to his brother one last time. When you're ready, let's talk. Strangely, Orm nodded at that, as the guards took him below the waves. Mara came to his side. People of Atlantis, today began in bloodshed, but let it end in joy. I give you King Tony of Atlantis. Hail to the king, Nereus yelled. Hail to the king, the fisherman queen cheered. Hail to the king, hail to the king, hail to the king. Volko and Maria watched proudly as Tony completed his destiny. He turned to Mara. So, what do I do now? She smiled at him. Be their king, Tony smiled back. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. He kissed her head and went to the front. He raised his trident and yelled. Yeah, everyone in Atlantis cheered as Godzilla let out a triumph roar. Atlantis had a new king, and this one was ready to lead them to a path for peace. Hail to the king, everyone kept shouting. Tony was enjoying the celebration, but it was time to stop. Okay, everyone, enough. Everyone stopped. Mara started laughing. You're gonna have to get used to that. Ugh, please tell me you guys don't have paparazzi. His mother laughed at that. What's that? I love Atlantis. Nereus then approached him. King Tony, I do owe you an apology. I allowed Orm to use me to his purposes, and almost made my daughter lose her life. How I made my wife lose her because of my actions. You have my gratitude for keeping Mara safe. It's alright, Orm tricked everyone. He wanted us dead father, sent Merc and his team, as well as a Hydra agent to kill us. So, he broke his word of delivering you safe. I was truly tricked. I do wish to continue our alliance with you, King Tony. Of course, I do want to have the kingdoms united, just not for war. Very well, also, seeing how she cares for you, I give you my blessing to take my daughter's hand. You have proven you truly care for her. Father? Mara blushed. What? I am still your father. The fisherman queen came next. You have our eternal gratitude for freeing us from Orm. We do wish to be allied with a peaceful king. The Brine King came last. An Atlantean king, that is not a war-obsessed scum. It does seem an alliance might be possible with you, King Tony. Tony nodded at them. He managed to unite the kingdoms by stopping war, Volko said. That's my son, always a hero, Maria told him. The fisherman and the brine soon left to their homes. Nira said goodbye to his daughter and left as well. My king, Volko asked. Come on, Volko, there is no need for that. My king thing. You know me. Volko laughed at that. Very well, but I must ask, what are we doing with them? Tony turned to look where he was pointing. The Avengers. They were just looking at them. Shit. Rogers especially had a look at his face that made it clear he was not happy with this new revelation. At last, this one wasn't going to come in easy, and honestly, he doesn't care what Rogers thinks. Bring them close, I want to talk to them before we leave. He saw his mother's and Mara's face when Rogers came close. This might be home. Steve went to get close to Tony, but Thor beat him to it. You did it, my friend. You have claimed your throne. Thanks, buddy, and thank you for the help. Indeed, Maria said. Atlantis will be eternally grateful for Asgard's help in stopping this war. As promised, you will have our aid on the rebuilding effort, as bad as the continuation of our alliance. Yes, now we are not only shield brothers, but also fellow kings. I see a bright future here. Steve shook his head. Now is not the time for whatever Thor wants. He needs to talk to Tony. Tony, he said, walking closer to the man, but armed guards held their guns at him. Keep him there. Don't let him be close. Tony yelled. Steve couldn't believe this. Tony was keeping him away. Why? Tony, what? Tell them to let me pass. Nope. Tony. Steve stared, but before that, Maria Stark, how the hell is she alive? Walked to him and... slap. She slapped Steve hard, making him fall to the floor. You foolish man. She kicked him, sending him stumbling. That's for all you did to my son? I didn't... Shut up. You're just Howard's failed pity project Onward believed in you. You know, but you're nothing but a monster who tried to kill my baby boy, she yelled, punching him on the face. I should have you executed for that. Maria yelled. It could still be done, Queen Maria, Volko said, not hiding his disgust at Steve. No. My son is the king. His word is the one that counts, as long as we never let this man get anyway close to him. I trust you and Mara will make sure of that, Volko. He nodded at that. No, you can't. We are Tony's friends. The red-haired snorted. I don't think your behavior counts as the one of friends, but it's up to Tony. Steve glared at her, the woman that did that to Tony. Tony belonged to Avengers. No one else. He looked at the man expecting it, but he just glared at him. Friends? Nah, that's not what we are, Rogers. I don't want you close after Siberia. You attacked us. I did what I had to do. Keep telling yourself that. I really don't care. Tony, come on. We have to fix this so we can be a team again. A team again. Rogers, I know you heard the shouting. I am not coming back. I am king now. The all hail to the king was kinda obvious. Scott snorted, but no one listened to him. Steve didn't believe what he just heard. What, Tony was leaving the Avengers? What, too coward to face your mistakes, Stark? Natasha asked. Volko went up and slapped her in the face. Wow, you must be so smart if you think it's a good idea to insult the king in front of his people. Weren't you a whore for the Red Room? Someone of your stature has no business talking to the king of Atlantis. Volko countered before stomping on her and aiming a water laser cutting of her tits and making ugly marks on her face. There, I have taken everything valuable. You had your good looks without them. You're nothing you have uses without your beauty. You can only ever be a sacrifice. Don't waste your brain on them, Volko. They are all crazy, Mara told him. Come on, Stark, you need us. Stop crying and come back. Natasha yelled in pain. Still the manipulator. Too bad your tricks don't work anymore, Romanoff. Am I right, Bruce? Yeah, totally right. And before you say it, Romanoff is not ego. Is leaving behind people that are harmful to me and follow my path. If you are not happy about it, well, too bad. It's not like you care about anyone but yourself. Even your family, unlike you, but then again, you never had a family. Your own mother sold you to be a weapon. Nobody could love someone like you. I would never leave my mother for you. What are you, Yelena? He told her, stunning Nat. Who is this Yelena? I met her before Mara came to get me. She told me how you left her on the Red Room for all this years, before Sharon got to her. She's with her now, and they are so kissing right now. Natasha froze at hearing that. Steve couldn't believe this. He had enough. It was this people. They were brainwashing Tony. Tony, you need to come with us. This people are... Oh, here he goes again, because things are not going his way. He thinks there is some villain he has to defeat. Grow up, Rogers. Wanda stepped forward. So, what now? We are supposed to bow down to you, or what? Atlantean sees that bitch put her chains and put her in the trenches. There needs to be a replacement for Godzilla, and this bitch has the power to do so. Tony commanded. Wanda snarled at him, but her powers were still collared, so there was nothing she could do. Wanda was restrained by the guards, and they started to beat her over and over. The only mistake my past self made was not the Stark bombs, but the fact they never annihilated you. Volko told me about you. Your destiny is nothing but pure evil. Scarlet Witch Atlantis will make sure you are enslaved and used for the good of the world. Steve once again felt angry. How could Tony be doing this to a kid? Tony, stop this now. You are coming with us, and that is final. Steve walked to hold his hand, but Steve suddenly felt weak. He fell to his knees. What was happening? The serum in your veins is liquid. The red hair started talking, her eyes shining blue. I wonder what would happen. I made it freeze inside your body, or maybe I could make it evaporate it. Steve couldn't defend himself. She had him trapped. I'm going to end you, Steve Rogers. Without even laying a finger on you, I am taking away what makes you so special with a snap, and make you as useless as a stick again. Mara killed the super serum, and everyone watched as Rogers became the ugly, skinny, smelly bastard that even his mother died to get away from. Ew. He was that ugly. Steve, you're no longer a useful tool for us, was what Steve heard. Steve started breathing heavily. He looked at Tony, but he wasn't looking at him. He was looking at Mara with a look of adoration, just like the ones he used to give Pepper. Maybe even stronger. It broke Steve's heart. That look should be towards his family, the Avengers. Tony, please give it back. Guards, take him to the cells. He will fulfill his duty as a tool for the Stark family and be nothing but a mindless slave for the rest of life. He's useless without the serum. Maybe a punching back. I mean, he has an ugly, punchable body. Tony said as Mara and Maria smirked. I couldn't have said it better myself. Maria agreed. Make sure Romanoff is sold off to some slavers. She has no right being free. She's too dangerous, and make sure to put the special collar that will restrict certain brain activity with shocks. The rest were good to me. They can go. Tony commanded, and Romanoff tried to fight, but was weak and captured and taken away. Maximoff was sent to the trench, where structures were made to harness her power for the good of Atlantis. Steve Rogers was in a gel tied up to the ceiling and became a punching bag. Rhodey, Tony. So, why didn't the others that followed Rogers say something? The video of Siberia made wonders. It made everyone but Romanoff and Maximoff wake up. Tony, why did you hide after Siberia? I was done with the hero live. I wanted to be alone. At least until Mara found me. Rhodey looked sad. I know you are not returning. You are home, yes. Well, I'm glad to see you well. Hopefully we can meet soon. Tony hugged Rhodey. I am glad to see you too. Good luck leading the Avengers. I much rather lead them than lead a kingdom. I much rather lead a kingdoms that deal with Rogers. Well, that's true. Very true. Rhodey nodded at Maria, who nodded back. It's good to see you again, James. It's good to see you again, Queen. Just call me Maria, dear. We known each other for long. Rhodes nodded at her. We will set up a transport for you all, Volko said. As more of them left, only Peter remained. Mr. Stark, I am sorry. What the hell, kid? Why are you sorry? I shouldn't have let Rogers go away. Tony hugged Peter. The kid was surprised. None of that was your fault, kid. You did your best. Now, I need for you to keep being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man so you can continue to protect the surface while I protect the deeps. Deal? Deal. Good. Now go home, kid. Take care. Bye, mister. Sorry, King Stark. I hope we meet again. Peter went to the ship that was going to take them home. With Tony. I did say I was going to drown him, Mara told him. Tony laughed. All right, you two. Let's go home. Meanwhile, at Gotham. So, the issue of Atlantis solved itself, Diana said. Just like you said, Director Fury, I have faith in my family, Miss Prince. I knew he could do it. Fury smirked as Wayne turned off the drone. Bruce cited. I'm glad everything resolved itself, but we still need to get moving. This proves that the Avengers are not enough for the world to be safe. Indeed, they got their asses kicked, Clark said. As long as the delusional captain keeps interfering, they will never win. Diana said. The world is unprotected. Though we need to move, Bruce said, standing up. I already got some recruits picked out. He looked at the camera one more time. It's time to unite the Justice League. After making sure the Atlanteans got safely back home, Godzilla swam away to Certain River. He wasn't returning home, not before talking to her. My, you are awake earlier. Why do I own the pleasure, Goji? Out of a waterfall flew Mothra, the queen of the monsters. The true king of Atlantis has risen. He has reclaimed the trident and the throne. Yes, I sensed its awakening. How is he? An interesting one, a half-breed of Atlantean and a human, but he is the one. He is also one of the heroes of this place. Interesting. Well then, I shall meet the new king myself. You do that? Because I think we'll need him. Why is that? I can feel it. His ice prison will not hold on for much longer, and once he's out, we will have to do anything to stop him. In his cell, Steve was tied up. This shouldn't have ended like this. Steve thought he would defeat Atlantis, gain the world's respect again, get his position back as leader, and find Tony, get him to apologize, and make him fix everything. And Tony and girls he chose could finally get together, as they were meant to be. But none of those things happened. The war that was supposed to get Steve his glory back never happened. His statement that wars should not be stopped before they started was universally mocked. Spider-Man released the footage of him saying that. Tony was abandoned the Avengers, he was on Atlantis, and Steve was a punchline bad. Tony had came to relive stress by beating the shit out of him, and not only that, Steve had lost his serum to Tony's unworthy girlfriend. Natasha or Wanda would have made better princesses. Not only that, Tony lied about what he is, but the people agree that he had every right to hide it, that it was a secret that involved him alone, no one else. It was unfair. Why did Tony get to keep secrets, while everyone got angry at Steve for keeping his secret? He had to protect Bucky. And hell, Maria Stark is alive. Steve thought that was something that would make Tony realize that he got angry for nothing, but Tony was still mad from Siberia. Hello, liar, Sharon Carter yelled. Steve was shocked. Did Tony turn his last link to Peggy on him too? Sharon? Steve asked, betrayed. Sharon punched the bastard in the face, making him bleed. She kicked him. Need him the balls and more. You motherfucker, you hurt my cousin. You were nothing but drugged up freak. You dare strike your betters? Sharon yelled, kicking. With Natasha. Natasha was in fear, her face scarred, her breast cut off, and had been burnt by the heat of the laser. Well, it seems Sharon's cousin gifted me with a new slave. Natasha froze at the newcomer. Yelena? Hello, bitch. Or should I say sister? Yelena, oh. Natasha yelled in pain. That's mistress now. King Tony decided to gift you to Sharon and me as a wedding gift. You see, I am your owner, and I have years worth of pain and anger to take out on you for leaving me in the Red Room, and with Dreykov, do you what he did to me for being related to you. She yelled, punching her in the face. As several guys came in. Enjoy her, make sure she suffers. Yelena said. With the Avengers, Rhodey and Carol took leadership. Sam was still with the team. He was hurt by the betrayal of Steve to the world. He spent his time posting hate on Rogers, making the world hate the fake hero more and more. He was loyal to Rhodes and the new structure. Clint and Scott went back to their families. Thor kept his word and he never joined his team with the Avengers. They remained as a separate team. They also managed to get Loki a pardon. As long as the man stayed with his brother, if he was outside New Asgard, he was free. Bruce also moved into New Asgard. He had began a relationship with the Valkyrie and wished to be at her side. New members came in. All of the ignored Steve. They made it clear that they won't follow him. With Tony and Mara watched as Volko hid the ancient maps on his chamber. Volko came in. Impressive, you managed to make Gojira follow you so easily. Even King Atlan had trouble with that. Really, as soon as I held the trident, he was very calm about following me. It seems that all this year has made him more possessive. I do wonder if he would also be able to gain the trust of King Atlan's second monster. Wait, he had two? Yes, legends say this one protected the skies. I believed he called her Masura. So, Mothra is real as well. Good to know. How do you even know about them? Mara asked him. They are also legends on the surface. Oh, well, we will cross that bridge when we get there. Now come on, the queen awaits us. Orm was locked in a tower. His room was comfortable, and he got good food. But he was going to remain here for a long time. Nereus wanted him gone for breaking his word on not hurting Mara, and the Fisherman Queen wanted revenge for her father. But both conceded to Tony that they keep him here, locked. He knew his brother wanted to talk to him, but he asked to be left alone for the time. His brother honored the request. He had 2 visitors. The first was Merc. He begged him to help him get his status back. It seems Tony discharged him from the captain's status, but Orm refused to help him. The second was his mother. They talked for a long time. She made Orm realize what a war could also had meant for them. After that, Orm wanted to be alone. He had a lot to think. Tony and Mara were watching the orca pod swim by. I never thought I would return here. Well, I got my mother back. I wanted you to at least to get your memories with yours back. She just smiled and gave him a kiss. Tony just put his arm on her shoulders. Thank you, by the way. You are thanking me. Why? For believing me. Nobody has done that as much as you have. I knew you were able to do it. You are a son of the land and the king of the sea. So if anyone was able to protect both worlds, it was you. Son of the land, king of the sea. I like that. It should be your new hero mantra. The Orcus made a sound. What did they say? That we should get a room. Well then shut up and just watch them with me. Of course. So the now dating king and princess just sat there and watched the Orcus swim. Just enjoying each other's company. 4 months later, Tony and Mara got married the Avengers, and Tony's friends Fro the Surface was invited. Natasha Romanoff and Wanda Maximoff were also. Months later, Tony and Mara got married the Avengers, and Tony's friends Fro the Surface was invited. Natasha Romanoff and Wanda Maximoff were also. Shown via videos. Tony even let Atlantis beat Rogers as wedding entertainment. He almost died, but was taken before he died. Far away, a ship watched. Father, this the information we have. A male voice said. So, Stark is a king. This will make him even more formidable and controlling that. It seems that we will need to get whatever stones we can now. Let's see Stark, who wins, you or me, the mad titan Thanos. Thanos said. But Gussie, that's all for this movie. If you want part 2, let me know.